Yo, what is good, y'all? This is Damage Per Second Podcast. That's DPS Podcast, episode 204. And we are back on, I usually say a fine Thursday night, but it's Friday. It's Friday night.
It's a majestic dark Friday night, and we are feeling all right.
Okay. All right, that is my co-host Gaming Forte. What's up, Forte?
What is up, man? Yo, listen, your boy got the next 2 days off. He did all his stuff at work, and he's treating himself to a weekend off. He's here with his homie SloMoBackSlap today. He's going to spend time with his family tomorrow doing a couple of other things, and he's going to be one of the 4 horsemen on the Lion Lords podcast, helping host that show on Sunday. So guess what? It's going to be a great freaking weekend, SloMo. What about you, sir? How has your weekend been, other than, dealing with routers and, people and things that they don't know what they're doing? How was your weekend, sir?
I can't complain. I can't complain. I mean, it's been a much lighter work week actually than it's been previously in the previous, like, say, month. So I'm good. I can't complain about that. I've been playing a particular game a whole lot. I feel like it's the only thing I've been playing.
Does it have dragons in it? Like real dragons?
A lot of dragons, yeah. It has a lot of dragons in it.
And a lot of people of old age?
Of old age?
Yeah, aren't they like old age people? Like old people in this game? Oh, they're just young and look like creatures and stuff, basically.
No, okay. In Dragon Age, the age is about kind of like the time period.
The time period of when it, like, the age of mythology or the age of, name a thing.
They kind of do. So, like in our world, we have BC and AD. And the year we chart the year and all that stuff based off of that. Like, this is the year 2024 AD in the world of Thetis in Dragon Age.
Why won't you tell the people what AD stands for? Because maybe everybody probably doesn't know.
After death.
There you go.
Yeah. So in the world of Thetis, they would say a year like the year of Dragon 941, almost like a biblical verse.
Oh,
so
wow.
The dragon is about the age, but they've had other ages where, and I think they go in centuries, I think. So, but they've been other ages that weren't called the dragon, but this is the dragon age because it's the dragon age of Thetis. That's why with that. So it's not really about, hey, you gotta have dragons in it, and even though there's probably more dragons in this game than the previous games, but
total,
it ain't really about the dragons,
right? Yeah.
Anyway, we will be having a special guest coming through, Game Logic, and I think potentially another special guest coming through. Forte said so. We will be seeing them shortly. But Forte, let's get this started. What are you playing?
Oh, so I am playing Ace Combat 7 on my PC. I finally went ahead and just purchased it. It was like $20 on Steam, and I'm like playing it, and it is beautiful, ultra wide glory. And I love planes. I bought a new yoke and throttle for it, so I have the whole setup. Mostly bought it for Flight Sim 2024 when it comes out, but I was like, you know what, I want to play now because we're still waiting for freaking Flight Sim to come out. So I bought Ace Combat, playing that. I'm like halfway through it. I'm gonna beat that probably over this weekend, since I don't have to work this weekend. And outside of that, I just finished Octopath Traveler, the first one, and I'm gonna start the second one. I'm gonna start the second one up in probably sometime next week. I don't want to go right from that game into another one because it is a completely different story. But
I own Octopath Traveler. I own both of them actually, and have yet to really like play them. How did you like the first one?
Oh, I love the first one, man. Like going through it, playing with all the different characters and stuff in the game. I really like the the so-called the job system in that game is really, really cool. And I just dig the aesthetic of that game. Like that pixel high res art that they do. It just looks, it's so appealing, especially in battle. They make the battles look so good in that game. And for a side scrolling, well, not side scrolling, it does go 3-dimensional in some parts of it, but for a more traditional looking type of turn-based RPG, and if you like the classic style that Final Fantasy used to be back, like when 6 and 7 was around, and Super Nintendo versions, yeah, dude, it's great. And I played it before on the Switch, but it was like I never finished it. And then, the thing about being on PC now, unlimited power, you just want to play everything, and it just looks great. That game looks great everywhere too. So that's what I just finished. Gonna start the second one up, and then that's really it for me. As of right now, I should say. What about you, so? I know you were talking about dragons and Winterfell and stuff like that,
Winterfell. Yeah, I've been playing Dragon Age the Veilguard. I actually beat Dragon Age the Veilguard last night. It took me about so I started 3 characters, but then I just focused in on one of them, which is the mage, which is what I'm showing on the Jumbotron right now. I think the mage's combat is the best in the game. It's a lot of fun. It's freaking awesome, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time. It took me about 60 hours to beat the game with my mage. And you guys may have heard some of the commentary from people who beat the game in regards to how they felt the ending was. And I have to echo those sentiments. The game definitely really ramped up, and the final act of the game is extremely well done. You have like these, and I'm not, of course, not going to go into detail, but it's it does have a lot of take a lot of inspiration from Mass Effect 2 in regards to your choices mattering, in regards to people of your party potentially surviving or not surviving, and just like really strong story beats that were there. It's extremely well done. I had a good time with that, and I mean, just overall, it's a good RPG. It's a good Dragon Age game. I think what is lacking out of it is, I think the writing's a bit uneven. I think the it has some moments that are really good story wise. You okay?
Yeah, I was trying to hide that one and I couldn't.
Okay. It's got some good story elements at times, but then it's got some story elements that are like really troublesome. It's really like, this is a mature rated game. Like, this is a 17 plus age mature rated game. And somehow this game has got some dialogue that reminds me of like Nick Jr. every now and then. It's just like, it's really, really, really basic kiddie kind of, conversations that occur sometimes. Or really basic dialogue that makes you just go, who wrote this? And it almost kind of like, there's a narrative team, and you got some really good writers on one side, and then you got some people who just, that the talent ain't quite there,
Right.
So it's that was kind of a bummer, and I think it was mostly with a lot of the conversations that occur in the lighthouse that I had an issue with. Outside of that, there were some things that occurred in the game, and there's a secret ending that I'm not too happy about. There is some other events that happen in the game that kind of contradict Dragon Age lore in events that occurred in the previous games. And that's not, as a big Dragon Age fan, I'm not all that cool with that either. But overall, still an enjoyable experience, still really good. And I'm going to keep playing through the game. Definitely playing through the game. But that's really all I've been playing. I really locked in on that and didn't really play anything else. Up to, I still gotta finish Metal 4 ReFantazio, and I haven't touched that since Velgar came out. So I'll gotta circle back and finish that up. I only got
it's over.
10.
It's over. You ain't gonna go back to that.
No, I am. I'm dead serious. I'm at the end of the game.
You better hope before you forget how to play the game, and then you gonna go back like, I ain't played this. I got everything I needed.
No. I'm going back. Real quick though, if you could, because my daughter just asked me to take care of something. Give me 2 minutes. If you could tell the chat about your experience with Octopath Traveler a little bit further, and I'll be right back.
Okay. I will tell you that Octopath Traveler is an Xbox. And an Xbox is Octopath Traveler. And I played Octopath Traveler on an Xbox that is my PC. And that PC was being played using the Xbox app, which is an Xbox. And while I was playing on my PC that's called an Xbox, I was looking at all of the different aspects of the game that I love the most. And it was some of the weapons that I was using for different characters that were shaped like Xboxes. And that is something that I really, really enjoy the most about the game, because it gives you they give you the ability to play how you want to play. And I think there's 9 different characters inside of the game, and they're all, basically Xboxes in themselves. I think their leader, Sir Xbox, was somebody that really stood out in the story. He started off as this great, amazing leader, a man of the people, a person that brought us from the depths of despair. And I really appreciated that, the way that the story was being played. But let's see. Rodimus is saying, so we're not watching the fight. Absolutely. Listen, first of all, we are watching the fight. The fight is on the screen right now on my phone. So don't get so with when Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul out within two rounds, you might hear an outburst. Blade X says, I played it on my Apple Watch. That is an Xbox. Yes, I know. Your Apple Watch is Xbox. Your tablet's an Xbox. This Topo Chico mineral water carbonated style that I'm drinking out of is drinking out of my Xbox. The Popeye's chicken I ordered food from earlier, the window was an Xbox. This mic I'm speaking into right now, it isn't a Shure SM7B. It is a conduit of which came in a game with my Xbox. So yeah, we're doing a lot of things for Xbox here. Oh boy, looking at the topics, we will be doom and gloom cast. No, Rodimus, come on, man. For Rodimus, are we really all? Do you think that we're doom and gloom? I really need to know this from you. Do you really think that me and SloMo are about doom and gloom? Shout out to Blade X, says he finally playing Mass Effect. Bro, are you on the first one right now? Or did you just start right there? Hopefully you did, because that's kind of the best thing about Mass Effect is being able to carry over your story progression from game to game. So that's always great. Come on, Rodimus, for real. Okay, let me ask you this. Why do you... Okay, if you think we're always doom and gloom, why are you here? Can you answer that for me? First one? Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, you'll enjoy that game. I think I beat it 30... It was like 36 hours when I beat the first one. And it's like the longest part is just the Citadel. Depends on how long you stay up in the Citadel. You know, you can get kind of stuck in there reading the codex and everything, and learning about all the different races and learning about the contact wars and stuff like that. So as long as you let yourself get kind of settled down inside the Citadel, the game really opens up after that. But yeah, it's really it's an epic franchise, and I love it the most.
I am back. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I needed to murder an arachnid in my daughter's room.
Oh, you had to go. You had to go Starship Trooper on her.
Oh yeah. And we do have our special guest here. Mr. Game Logic is in the house. What's up, man? How's it going, bro?
Help.
It's good. I gotta get a mic check out of the way first, though. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
You're fine.
Yep, we can hear you real good.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
So,
appreciate that.
Go ahead.
Special guest.
Oh.
Special guest.
Yeah, he's not a special guest. He like lives here, eats here, takes food home on the daily.
Okay.
He's not really a special guest.
Part-time panelist. Game Logic is in the house. What's up, man?
And I come on DPS. I get to fix me a plate. I know special guest.
That's what I'm saying.
But you better also, put in on the groceries. I mean, like groceries are expensive nowadays.
I mean,
don't be just coming up in the house, open the fridge, grab a couple beers, and be like, hey, thanks, appreciate it. You got to put in.
Content creators got bills. These subscriptions.
Listen, we don't live in a blue country anymore. Remember that.
Man, here we go. We can't.
We ain't going there. I'm just telling you, we don't live in a blue country anymore, so we ain't going in there. Oh, well, while you were going, SloMo, I Rodimus was saying, looking at the topics, it's going to be a doom and gloom chat, and I was like, are we really like that?
Rodimus thinks everything is doom and gloom.
I said,
if it's not glazing Xbox, it's doom and gloom.
I asked him what we always like. He said yes and yes, and I said, well, why are you here? And then he says, I like to support my people. So that's what I'm talking about. At least you are honest. Yeah, I don't care about Rodimus having his opinion, because his opinion can be wrong, and we can always be right.
Awesome.
And we can always
but he's a homie, so it's not, it's not shade or anything.
And you saw that Blade X said he started. You saw Blade X said he started Mass Effect. He's 12 hours in on the first one.
Look, he's got greatness in store for him.
Yeah, greatness. I told him I told him not to get bogged down in the Citadel, because if the Citadel will eat up your life if you allow it to.
Right. You need to leave the Citadel as quickly as possible. You can come back there for like side quest stuff if you want. Leave the Citadel, go travel to the different planets you need to go to, do that hunt for Saren, get to know your party members. Make sure to talk to them after every mission, because that's how you start to get to know them better. They get comfortable with you. They start telling you about like some of the missions that they actually want to do. A lot of that actually is in Dragon Age the Veilguard as well. Like, you need to speak to your party members, get to know them. You'll get a lot of companion quest lines that will... In this game, it's really important to do them with Veilguard, because that's how you get more gear and better gear unlocked. So the way Veilguard works with your gear and weapons, you'll get duplicates of the same weapon. Those duplicates upgrade the rarity of the weapon from like in your typical RPG stuff. It's like white, then it's green, blue, purple, gold, or legendary, and then there's like this kind of like red color that's for like unique super rare items. But you need to keep getting those duplicates of your gear in order to upgrade them, and it unlocks all these attributes that are really, really powerful. And like my build right now, my mage is this is some of the in the Jumbotron, some of my combat, but like this was a little bit earlier in the game. my body, the way I have my build set up, even in the end game, the bosses couldn't mess with me. And I killed all the dragons. I beat a dragon that was level 50, and I was level 37, I think, or 35, something like that, when I fought it. But it was just, my build is so good that it didn't matter what level he was. He was getting washed like a laundromat.
So I see the Jumbotron is broadcasting at 1440p, by the way.
The stream is at 1440p.
Yeah, that's product differentiation, man. I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I try to make sure that it's a quality stream going on. Ain't no 1080p over here for me. You know that. At least I would stream in 4K, but it's just, you know, I try not to flex. It's just, you know, I got great internet. I don't need everybody to know that. Plus,
your internet would
4K,
explode on itself if you tried to go at 4K.
I have Verizon, sir. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'll be just fine.
Verizon is fine, but OBS isn't.
No, I've streamed that 4K before.
I've
streamed, I think, the Alien Isolation games at 4K.
He ain't part of the Fiber Club. He ain't part of the Fiber Club, SloMo. We don't have to.
You know what? Yep. I will keep my one up. I will keep my one up and one down. You are absolutely correct. Which is just as good as I can stream in 4K too if I wanted to.
What was I about to say? If I stream at 4K, I think, but the way the limitation, if I recall correctly, is YouTube, because there's three options. There's ultra, low latency, and normal latency. If you stream at 4K, you can't do anything but normal latency. And so, in conversing with our chat,
25 seconds,
they may be saying things, like it's going to take a minute, literally, before one of us responds back because of the normal latency that YouTube sticks in there. So I like to go at 1440p, which is low latency, and I think that's the sweet spot. Ultra low latency is just not necessary as far as I'm concerned.
I love ultra low latency. It's literally as you type, they respond.
Yeah, but it's 1080p.
That's fine.
I mean, you could stream on Twitch at 1080p. Man, you could stream that on Kick at 1080p.
You're not streaming natural gameplay. You're screaming a jumbotron with particle effects in the background.
Well, I'm not screaming at all, sir.
I said you're streaming. I said you're not streaming particle. You're streaming particle.
I know what
effects.
I heard.
I know what I heard. You also said you can't hear. You also were the person that said I'm hard of hearing.
When did I say that?
Hard of hearing. Can't remember names. Can't remember conversations from 2 weeks ago.
I can't remember names for certain. I can hear though. Okay. I got great hearing. Anyway,
and bad knees.
Let's move. My knees are just fine. You know,
and bad knees.
My lower back might be a different story. My knees are awesome. Anyway, let's get into some of these rapid fire topics real quick before we get into our big ones.
Rapid fire.
Pause. GOG announces the GOG Preservation Program, where they are going to be taking old games on PC. And if you're a PC gamer, you've dealt with this before. There was a game that you played back on like the PS2, PS3, Xbox 360. And you're like, oh man, I can't wait to play that game again. I see it's $5 on Green Man Gaming or Steam or something. And you buy it, you install it, and you can't run the game. It crashes. Or it has all kinds of other issues going on. And the game's got all kinds of bugs because back then they just really didn't care about making sure the game was a solid release or fixing any of those issues or whatever it may be. A lot of older titles are just really kind of hard to play with current hardware. And the good thing is that GOG is working on a program where they even if the game is no longer supported by a publisher, even if the game is no longer has actually, I don't want to say that. I think they can't take delisted games, but they are doing some good work with getting older games ready to go and actually having them be playable on current hardware. I actually tested it out a little earlier today with Dragon Age Origins, because I was talking with the homie Ramon Terrell, and he was talking about how me and him were not able to play this game on Steam or the EA app without having to install like a gazillion mods. And then unfortunately even the mods, because this game isn't like being fully supported by the modding community any further, even the mods are somewhat outdated and need updates in order to really kind of make it work. So like if you're rocking like a 1080 Ti, you'll be fine. But if you're running something like a 4070 or 4080 Super or 4090, you're going to have some issues. If you have a modern CPU, you're going to have some issues, because this game, when it came out, it was designed to only run on one CPU core. And everyone's got a multi-core CPU right now, and there are times where that becomes problematic. The game's got a really bad memory leak. And with that memory leak, it crashes. People were for years telling people, play for 2 hours and then shut it down and then restart the game so that you don't crash because of the memory leak. Like, these are all the issues that the game has. And I can tell you with pretty good certainty that GOG did a pretty good job with Origins. Like, the memory leak is gone. It did still have some minor issues that they still haven't like quite fixed. The whole single core issue, I actually had to go myself and limit my CPU when running this game to just use one core instead of having it on 2 cores, which is what it was trying to do. And just, other little minor issues that are going on in there. Like, there's a particular area where, even on my 4080 Super with this really old game and not even getting 50% GPU utilization, I couldn't maintain 60 FPS. There was just something going on in this one area that just refused to perform well. But the game is playable, which is the most important part, and which is something I do want to commend GOG about. Did you guys want to say anything about this particular program?
I go first. The fact that they are, GOG is a pioneer, man. It's like, it's already DRM free. So, matter of fact, that's where I think the one game I bought for them, the only game I bought from was Witcher. I have Witcher 2 and 3 from there. And I like the work that they do over there. So when I saw that they were actually implementing something like this, I haven't really came across too many games. I haven't come across a game that hasn't worked when I tried to run it, but I do know of a lot of people that did have that issue. So, shout out to them for going out and doing God's work to make sure that preservation of a lot of these games that can't be bought or played on other consoles anymore because people don't have them in their own PC. That's really cool that they're doing that.
Yeah. Any thoughts on this game, Love?
Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, even with hardware, Dragon Age Origins is a 2009 game, so that was Windows 7.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So some people on their gaming PCs might be 3 operating systems later now. A lot of games that are on GOG are back from the Windows XP SE days.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really an OG, then you'll remember things like the things we used to do on Windows XP to like squeeze every clock cycle out of the machine that we possibly could, to the point of like you minimize the total number of icons that were on your desktop. you would do crazy things for bandwidth, like you would run 2 of those diamond 56K modems in parallel so that you would get 128K. You would just all types of crazy stuff that you would do to groom and tailor an operating system to get it running at peak efficiency. So yeah, this is good. It should definitely be mentioned and commented that Good Old Games is actually a subdivision of CD Projekt Red. It's a company that actually owns them, and so yeah, this is great. There are games, as you mentioned, like Max Payne. You can buy Max Payne on Steam, and one of the major glitches is obviously one of the big parts of Max Payne is like the little comic book panels and the vocalizations that occur in between levels. Well, at least a while ago, like that didn't work on Max Payne. Like the comic panels would come up and there would be no voiceover. So you would go out and you would go get this Max Payne. I think it was called like the All Fix patch, and apply that to get that to run. So, the notion that because and let me tell you, when Steam sells a game like that, they don't give a rip. Like that Max Payne, they sold that for years with that game being broken.
Yep.
And they just rely on like the community thread, right? The community discussion thread to be responsible for telling everybody how it works. And you will not get refunded. Like the game will be broken and you will not get refunded. If you've played it more than the 2 hours. So this is CD Projekt Red. Really coming correct. So you got to respect it.
Yeah, and it's just amazing how games get. It's we've come a long way. Because games used to get released, and when you're trying to troubleshoot an issue with like an older game, and you go, you Google it, and then you're seeing people talking about the issue that you're dealing with years ago, like 2014. I'm seeing people saying, "Hey, look, this is a problem. This is this." I'm just like, EA didn't and BioWare didn't fix this back then. Like I'm like, good grief, you didn't. Like there's an issue. This gameplay. Like the first gameplay I showed was in 4K. This gameplay is in 1080p now. Why is it in 1080p? Because the quick taskbar at the bottom, where my spells and my skills and talents and my items are, and I can just like hit a number or whatever, or just click on it, and then the character would do that in combat. If you raise the resolution higher than 1080p, it then starts to hide part of the taskbar. So you can't see your skills and you can't use them. It's just like, so if I play at 1440p or 4K, I can't, like I basically have to go into the menu to use talent, skills, and spells and stuff. And it's just like, why is this game supporting resolutions that like you clearly didn't test out? Like you didn't test this game out at 4K. There's just no way. There's just no way BioWare did that. So it's just like, it's wild that is still there. But then it also kind of goes to show that like GOG has some, they're doing good work, but there is still work to be done. Because I just chose this game because it was on my mind. I've been playing Velguard. I had a shout out to Ramon Terrell's in the chat right now. Me and him were having a conversation about this game in particular and how poorly it runs. It's basically unplayable. And the best way to really play Origins, if you want to play it, really is to probably go get yourself an Xbox. Play it backwards compatible, or if you still have a PlayStation 3, play it on PlayStation 3, because you're not having, at least it works. It may be running at 30 FPS and it may have some really muddy, ugly textures, but at least it runs. And at least you can play the game without it crashing on you consistently. But at least now I can say for certain, I played longer than 2 hours with Dragon Age Origins through GOG, and it worked fine. So maybe not.
With GOG doing preservation of backwards compatible, of games and stuff like that, are they an Xbox?
I would say no, but other people would tend to feel differently. You know, like this cup of coffee I got right here is an Xbox. Apparently,
this cup of coffee.
My MacBook is not an Xbox. I just want to make that patently clear.
Well, your MacBook doesn't have access to Game Pass. That's why it's not that's why it's not an Xbox. Unfortunately.
Hey,
this is supposed to be rapid fire. Okay, go ahead. Then we can move on to the next one.
I'll make it rapid. I do want to share a quick moment that Mr. Terrell and I had earlier this week while he's in the chat. So one of my binge watches that I'm doing right now is I'm going back and I'm watching all the seasons, and I'm watching the entire series of Arrow. I'll probably eventually get back.
Good show.
Yeah, it was great. Probably will eventually get back to the CW shows. So I'm watching a season 1 episode. Probably people don't remember this, but it's an episode where a firefighter who was thought to have died in a fire actually escaped, and then comes back years later. Again, people thinking that he's died, and is committing all these murders of other firefighters who were in his unit. Well, I watched the episode. I'm a person who watches the credits. This is why I have like this uncanny thing where I'm able to recognize, lots of actors and stuff from lots of different shows. And I'd be like, I saw that guy in. Oh yeah. So I'm watching the credits, and I'm watching it out of the corner of my eye. I'm on my phone. I see the name of one of the characters that was in that a guest character in that episode. Kind of out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, something's familiar about that. I need to go back and look at the credits again and like look at who played that part. And so I go back, and doggone if it was not Mr. Ramon Terrell in season 1 of Arrow.
He is everywhere. I love telling this story because it's so funny. And I was laying in bed, and my wife is watching one of these just really kind of basic basic boring like young adult kind of Netflix TV shows. I don't know why she likes them or whatever. I'm laying in bed, my eyes are closed, and I'm just like, I'm hearing the TV but I'm not watching it. Mm-hmm. And I hear this voice, and I'm just like, yo, that sounds familiar. Like, I think do I know that person? I open my eyes and look up, and look who it is. Ramon Terrell as a deputy, interrogating some teenage kid and yelling at him. And I was just like, well, wow, this guy's everywhere. I tell you. Everywhere. Yeah. But no, let's get through these rapid fire topics. The next topic of this rapid fire stuff is Disney is rumored to be looking at EA Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson to replace their current CEO Bob Iger. Forte, any thoughts on this particular rumor?
They do realize that Bob Iger is part of the reason that Star Wars is where it's at, right? So they can do anything to get rid of that man, but do we want
Andrew Wilson?
Do we want microtransactions on Disney Plus? Like they're gonna have you playing cell phone games on Disney Plus to get access to your membership and stuff. No. And didn't Andrew House wasn't he like part of like the whole? If I remember correctly,
you mean Andrew Wilson?
Yeah, not House. Andrew House was PlayStation. We'll never do that to Andrew House. Andrew Wilson. He was like a big part of the whole situation that happened with EA, with all of the microtransactions and like the whole Star Wars thing. That was like all under his watch and stuff. I'm not saying I'm not saying that he wouldn't do a better job than Bob Iger, because I think a lot of people could, but I also think Kathleen Kennedy is more of a problem when it comes to stuff that's going on at Disney for the things that I care about the most. But I don't know, man. Just can we get I'd rather have what's the name from Take Two if he's willing to leave Take Two and not be there anymore than
Strauss Zelnick.
Zelnick. I'd rather have somebody like him if you're gonna go into the gaming sphere. But this is also about Disney trying to get into that, into the gaming spirit with a lot of stuff that they're doing on the back end when it comes to a lot of their IPs and stuff like that. They're trying to, publish and get into some type of like mobile device with games and stuff. So if that's like kind of the part of the business that he's going to be focusing on the most, okay. But when I hear him taking Iger's spot, I'm like, well, Iger's over everything, and I don't know if I want Andrew over everything when it comes to Disney. I don't know.
I'm gonna reserve my thoughts on this until Logic goes. Logic,
I don't know.
What are your thoughts about this, man?
I don't know.
So first, help me out. What company was it that got the Disney phone call? Because their Star Wars game was so dorked up.
Oh, EA.
EA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who? Yeah. Their game
apparently they love failure. They was just like, you know what? Who fails the best with us that we have personally dealt with has just absolutely screwed up so many of our IPs. You know what? Let's call Andrew. I think Andrew would be a perfect fit.
Yeah, you'll run our 3 times or 6 times bigger company better than you did EA. No, come on, man.
So one of the things that's going around is one of the reason he's considered of interest is that I'm trying to figure out. I don't know how old he is, but he's not that old.
He doesn't look old.
He doesn't look old, yeah.
I don't know how old he actually is. He looks fairly young though.
Yeah, and so the notion of Strauss and look, I am he's 50 years old. He's a very young looking 50. And that's and for CEOs, that's a relatively young age.
When you bathe in the blood of virgins, apparently it's really good for your skin.
What are they? I was trying to remember the other. What are the pools called that Ra's al Ghul uses to bring people back?
Oh, the Lazarus pit.
Yes, yeah. This brother's been bathing in them.
So,
but I'm the biggest Strauss Zelnick stan that there is. I mean, nonstop. But Strauss is old, and that's. So one of the things that one of the reasons Wilson is being considered is because he's a person who can come up. Because what Disney wants is they want longevity. They want somebody to put in the seat, and they want somebody who's going to grow into the role and offer company stability, right, for a number of years. So I don't know, but there are also several candidates in the pool. So I don't even know that Andrew Wilson is necessarily the front runner. I think this is just a story that because he's in the gaming industry, kind of caught fire.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For myself, I'll say this: that just to kind of give a refresher for those who may not be aware of decisions that Andrew Wilson has made. Andrew Wilson has closed down quality studios that they acquired. After acquiring them for their talent, telling them, don't make games like that, make games like this, and put all kinds of multiplayer and microtransaction in your games, even though you don't do multiplayer or microtransactions. Why did your game fail? Oh, it couldn't clearly be what we forced you to do. You guys just suck. We shut you down. Like, there's that. There is the, you know what? Epic is over here making big money off of their game engine. Don't we have a cool game engine too? What's DICE's engine? Frostbite? You know what? All of our devs, you guys use Frostbite for that one. Like, we not paying no licensing fees to Epic. Oh, whoops. The Frostbite engine is only good for Battlefield. It doesn't have any of the assets or the tools that other developers need to make different kinds of games that aren't Battlefield. Whoops. Guess they're screwed, because I'm not going to dedicate any engineers to help other developers like BioWare figure out how to use it. No, I'm not doing that. No, what I'm going to do is have you just, figure it out on your own and then blame you when the game doesn't do well. That's what I'm going to do. This is Andrew Wilson. This is single player games are worthless. Andrew Wilson. Then whoopsie, Jedi the Fallen Order does great. No, we like single player games now. It's just
Yeah.
The guy doesn't understand the gaming industry, and clearly Disney isn't just in gaming. They're in a way, and they make money, a lot more money, in way more things than strictly gaming. But if this is the kind of mentality and the lack of understanding of the industry that he applies to business decisions, he and his leadership team applies to business decisions at Electronic Arts, I just don't want to see that on a grander scale for Disney. Because you gotta think about all the IP that Disney owns. They own Marvel. They own Star Wars. All of the other Disney IP out there, from Aladdin to Lion King to Snow White to whatever the heck else you wanna bring up, they own all this stuff, and I just don't want to see a CEO that does not really pay attention to why things work.
Yeah,
like doesn't understand the audience that is that you're trying to cater these products to. All you care about is what shareholders think. And I feel like that would just be a disaster. So hopefully he doesn't get it. And I think he probably isn't going to get it, so we can keep it moving.
So I'll just mention this one last thing, because I feel like while I don't disagree with your assessment, I think we have to acknowledge the numbers, right, and how those motivate people. So under his tenure, since he has been CEO since 2013, he has basically doubled net revenue by Electronic Arts. When he came in, they were at 3.8 billion. They are now at just under 7.6.
And that is off the strength of games like Madden, EA FC Sports, EA College Football, where people buy it annually. They do the Ultimate Team stuff. I don't quite understand how it works. I just know they spend a lot of money on an annual basis on it.
I have 300.
All the whales.
I will confess that I have $300 in Ultimate Team on college football.
I recall hearing that EA can finance all of their games
off Ultimate
that are
Team.
not EA Sports, off of Ultimate Team microtransaction revenue all by itself.
Bro,
they can finance everything else they do just off of that alone.
I'm gonna tell you this alone, because I play a lot of, like, because I play so much college, is like the biggest thing I play. I put $300 like over the course since it's been out into Ultimate Team. I watch videos of people doing pack openings because you want to see what the cards are and stuff. Like I watch at least 10 to 15 different channels of people that literally every week are putting $100 down to open up the booster box, the booster packs they have every week. So there's some people out here that are spending $500 to $600 a month on Ultimate Team.
They're getting billions.
It's crazy.
The fact that content creators, there are some content creators who a big part of the content they put out is nothing but them opening packs,
and they get thousands of views, tens of thousands of views.
I'm doing it wrong, man.
They're making it. Listen, you, like, if you just go off of, like, you don't know what the revenue really is, but if you just go off of the, the part per million and stuff, their RPM, like, if you just say that if their video got like 30,000 views on it, and on average of gaming, a gaming video averages anywhere from like $6 to $9 per revenue per minute, they're making all that money back in one video, or if not two. True.
So that's why they're doing it, because they know that the ad revenue and everything else off that video is going to cover the cost and then some.
Then they can write it off because it's for work too. So
true. The PS5 Slim, PlayStation 5 Slim, is dropping down to $379 for the holidays. Forte.
Yes, sir.
Is that price good right now, or is it okay? So when does that go into effect?
They haven't said exactly when, because that's a PlayStation initiative. That's not a retail driven thing. PlayStation's dropping the price of that stuff. But they also have.
So is it just on the PlayStation Direct store where it'll be that price,
They
or
have
will
it-
it be affected?
It might be
to you
effective.
guys?
It might be effective everywhere. It might be initially on the PlayStation Store. For the I do know that we're getting flooded with PlayStations like crazy right now. Like my store alone has well over 100 of them. So
What?
oh yeah, dude, I have a lot of PlayStations in my store. A lot of like there's there's the PlayStation 4. I mean Black PlayStation 4. You have the PlayStation 4 Slim. You got the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 Slim with a disc drive. You got the digital one. You got the Pro. You got a undisclosed bundle that's coming that I can't say what
How
the
many
name of it
pros
is.
do you have?
I got restocked today. So I think like 12.
Okay.
So not that many, but there's an undisclosed bundle that's coming out next week that I can't disclose the what it is, but there's a bundle that's coming out that's going to be a cheaper price. So but yeah, across all PlayStation 5 SKUs, there's a good amount of systems that's going to be out there at different price points that I hear about. The 370, I don't know if that's going to be day one at every retailer, but it's probably a good chance after PlayStation gets their initial run on the store that it may hit other retailers maybe after it might be the one that leads all the way up to Christmas.
Okay. Logic, any thoughts on this price drop for the holidays?
This is a flex. You know, I mean, it's
You think so?
I think so. I think so. I think it's also going to put somebody in a chokehold, because what happens when you put a SKU out that undercuts the price on everything except the box that, right, wrong, or indifferent, unfortunately, has a reputation for underperforming. Like this thing is coming out now. It's only $80 more expensive than an Xbox Series S.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean that's rough. This is the sorry, that's one of my smart speakers. But you know, this is you know, I mean, this is the type of stuff you do, right? When you control such a large share of the market.
Yeah, I think they're going to sell really well. You know, it's kind of going into the holiday season. It's also a stat that 75 to 80% of the youth in the United States are looking for consoles when it comes to when they want to do gaming. What they want to do gaming on is a video game console. So, you know, you put out your cheapest SKU and you drop that price down a little bit further, you're gonna get some attention. You're gonna get some people that are attempting to give their kids what they're looking for. You're gonna get them to you know, spend that money on it. So I think it's gonna do well for them. And keeping up with the theme of new SKUs out here, Valve has announced a Steam Deck White limited edition that looks pretty. I mean, it's the Steam Deck, but it's white. Looks nice, but it's just a white Steam Deck. And it's coming in at $679. Now look, clearly this is probably like the one SKU of the Steam Deck that is like the most expensive. It's like got the most memory. It's got the OLED screen. You know, anything else that comes with that more expensive SKU, but $679. I mean, look, I say that like that because the ROG Ally X is like 800. And that one's got like a massive, like much bigger battery. It's got it's Z1. I think the Z1 Extreme chip. I think, or it might be better than the Z1 Extreme, but the chip in there is better than the Steam Deck chip. You see the Legion Go is like $800, $700. Like $679 for this. I don't know. Logic, have you had any been keeping up with any of this at all?
Oh yeah. This kind of stuff is easy for me to keep up with now, SloMo, because PC is the only platform that I play on. Yeah, this thing is it's a $30 price premium over the baseline Steam Deck. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the competition in the space, but I mean, I gotta say that yes, those things are interesting, but they run Windows. And so you're getting a not tailored, not customized, not bespoke experience. You're fighting through all the goofy integrations that you have to deal with on Windows. Like, just quite frankly, I cannot imagine the life you guys live who are on those Windows handhelds dealing with the way Windows 10 does updates. Well, I guess those are on Windows 11. Windows 11 is just as bad, I think. A little better than Windows 10, but particularly the security updates.
Man,
so
I was listening to Crossfire yesterday, and I was listening to Singer talk about how he's still on Windows 10, and I was like, why? Like, why you still?
Oh, I can tell you why.
I mean, you're
still on Windows 10
you're
as
still
well.
on Windows 10. You're still on 10 though.
So am I.
I've been on 11 for 2 years, and I haven't had any issues. So,
well, you're not going to have issues. It's not like stuff isn't going to work. It's about performance, and
I heard the
there have
performance
been
is
multiple.
better on 11 though for most
not.
games.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It is either for most games. It is no. It's flat. Like there isn't OS that's better for most games, but then there are a minority of games that run significantly better on Windows 10. And some of those games I still play, like Cyberpunk. And so until I start to see, especially when it comes to like Intel, there was a Windows update recently for Windows 11 that severely affected how Intel CPUs ran on Windows OS. And this has all been tested. You can go to Hardware Unboxed, their YouTube channel. They did multiple videos on this, at least 2 videos on this topic in particular. And yeah, Windows 10 is still like, it's not a large margin, and like we're content creators, so like OBS and stuff like that still runs fine. Like you're not like, it runs fine on Windows 11. That's not the issue. The issue is there are some games where the performance on Windows 10 is just better than it is on Windows 11. Right. And until either that gets cleared up or Microsoft stops supporting it, Windows 10, which is coming next year, I'll just wait until they stop supporting it to move on to Windows 11. I'm not staying on the unsupported OS. Like, I'm not crazy, but I until they force me to, I'm not moving up when I know that like the performance is better over here.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
however small the move is, but it's better. But
I'm ready to make the shift now. So, I mean, I think either the Steam hardware surveys or some other metric is showing that it's hit the tip over point that gamers are at like 51% have made the move to Windows 11. So I'm at the point now where I'm not going to fight it anymore. The tripwire I'm waiting to hit is I've got 5 systems here I need to check, but I know that Microsoft recently relaxed the hardware requirements, and that's always been my thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I'm not going to upgrade some of my boxes to Windows 11 and have some on Windows 10. And like, as long as they're looking for
have they relaxed on they're about to say the TPM. That's the biggest sticking point for I think a lot of people's systems is that TPM requirement. Have they relaxed that?
They have done something, and they've been doing this for a while. They've been doing it in stages. I think for a while, they have been allowing things like a software TPM or a firmware TPM. There's lots of motherboards that have a firmware implementation of TPM, not an actual like hardware chip on your PCB, but have it implemented in firmware. But a lot of times, the motherboard vendor has it off by default, so you would have to dig around and find it in BIOS and flip it on. But they have been relaxing it, more and more. And I think now the most recent one is there's something that isn't even called like directly a TPM, but is some other security feature. And I believe that what they have done is that is again is a firmware implementation at the BIOS level. And I believe they have relaxed it to the point of saying, if it has that thing, then you can upgrade. So I do have boxes that have, perennially said, this box is not compatible for the upgrade, but then have recently said, oh yeah, you can upgrade to Windows 11. So I just haven't gotten around to all of them to check it.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the discussion in the chat. Windows 10 is still supported. It is supported by Microsoft, Erodimus. I don't know what you say. It is still supported. You still get updates. They will stop supporting it next year. So
October of 2025. After October of 2025, if you want to continue running Windows 10 and getting the security updates, you will pay some additional fee.
Them.
Yeah.
Right. Which I'm not doing. I'm not paying them that. So I'll go to Windows 11 then. But until then, I'm good until I see some of the testings out there that people do out there, where when they have major updates on Windows 11, seeing the performance at least level out. If it levels out with Windows 10, where the games that do have a difference, it's not like a 15 to 20 frame per second difference. If it's the same, then all right, I'll go ahead and do the upgrade. And then I'll get my son's PC upgraded up there, because his motherboard's a little bit older. So I'm going to have to see whatever like changes they're making in order to make sure that older motherboards can go through, because I built his PC off of old parts that I knew that would be fine for him, because he plays Roblox. He's not playing anything heavy, but we'll see what happens. I might just have to end up building him a new PC if it comes down to it. But
so on the white Steam Deck, my final cut on the white Steam Deck is, this is not something anybody else needs. Like if you really love the Steam Deck, and I would say even for people who want to get a second one, because I do have two. I have my original LCD and I have the OLED, and when I got the OLED I didn't get rid of the LCD. And it offers me, granted and admittedly, first world problems, it offers me flexibility, because I can have like game loads on two different machines, right, that I can pick which one I want to take with me whenever I have to go on travel, and I'm going to bring a Steam Deck. The thing that kind of struck me with this one is I got a little twitch in my neck, and I was like, man, this is starting to feel like Gabe pulling a Nintendo, right? With all these little goofy, rolling out color schemes and stuff every few months. Really milking. And concurrently, because by the same token, what Steam has said in the last couple of months is that, hey, we're not making a new Steam Deck until hardware makes a significant improvement, so that there's a real generational jump. We're not doing like these onesie twosie, 890X or whatever, is coming out from AMD. So they're going to be on this hardware platform for a couple of years, and I'm like, but you guys are going to roll out different color schemes every few months and charge an extra $30 for them. Yeah, very, very, very Nintendo like. On the Windows side, I would say what I'm looking for on the Windows side, again, I personally think that Steam Deck is the handheld solution for me for now. What I am looking for on the Windows side is when I see Qualcomm, Nvidia get in the pool, that's where I think, and maybe even if Intel puts Lunar Lake on a handheld, some of these CPUs that really sip power, but still offer performance, as can be combined with a gaming GPU, that small form factor. That's what I'm waiting to see how interesting that is.
Yeah. Here's another rumor. Horizon Online will launch in 2025. This is the multiplayer online version of Horizon, the Zero Dawn Forbidden West series of games. Forte.
Yes.
You think this game is going to make it?
No.
We haven't seen it. So we don't know what, but just imagine the gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West in a multiplayer online setting. Is this going to work? What do you think?
I mean, there are games called Ark Survivor, so I mean it could be. I mean, I guess it comes down how they implement it.
That's a survival game. Like, there are people who love survival games. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't quite know for certain.
Yeah, we don't know what. Like I said, it all depends on what kind of game they're making out of it. You know, I'm just thinking of the world. Depending on how they go about customization of character and stuff like that. I don't think story really has anything really to do with that part of it, but the game itself is such a good looking game that as long as they can find a gameplay loop that allows people to be able to progress their character, and think of it like Horizon, like Manhunt version of Horizon, or Horizon being a Maha or something like that, where you're hunting bigger, robotic dinosaurs and stuff like that. I can see that actually being something that could be appealing, but is it going to be something that's going to move the needle substantially? No. Because in my mind, that's why the biggest reason why they were talking about in their forecast that they're doubling down back on AAA games when it comes to single player, because they found that live services, even though they're very lucrative, they're very, very, very hard to hit on. It is not a guarantee that the one that you make, even if it's a good one, is going to, keep player retention high. Like, you go look at games like Helldivers. Now, I think a lot of the reasons that Helldivers kind of fell off the map a little bit, and people are talking about it as much as they were talking about it before, is because of some of the decisions that the developers made when it came to the game. And, with the whole region locking and taking the game away from people, I think that didn't help either. But it was only going to be a matter of time, because that game wasn't being talked about. Like, when Apex Legends came out, people were talking about that game like months and months, like half a year later, people were still talking about and playing it. Same thing with Fortnite. And I'm not saying that a game has to be that, but I think Sony's looking for that one game that kind of solidifies them in that space. And they just haven't found that game that had the lasting experience to kind of keep them there. Part of me believes that maybe Factions would have did that if they would have just kind of kept the same formula that they had before and just iterated on it. Because guess what? Fortnite wasn't Fortnite before they made it into a battle royale. It was something completely different. It was a freaking survivor game with zombies and all this stuff and building huts and forts. And then it ended up being something different because, PUBG came out and, they pretty much stole everything that PUBG did. But I think it could work. I just don't know if it's viable for Sony to stick with something like that long term in order for it to flourish into what it would need to flourish into to become something that's a staple in something like a survival climate. Because I think it would have to be some type of survival game if you're going to do like a Horizon Online, because just running around with bows and arrows and shooting at people, I mean, it would be fun probably like the first couple of days you do it, but after that it's like, where's the rest of the substance to the game? But like you said, we don't really know what they're working on, if they're working on it at all. It just really comes down to how they implement it, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Logic, what are your thoughts on this, man? What are your thoughts about Horizon Online? You think that it's got some potential? What do you think?
Doornail.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, it could. I mean, most importantly, is it going to be a good game? It could absolutely be a good game. It could provide. There are lots of people. I mean, we've heard Guerrilla talk in the last few months about how they're not going back to Killzone, and so they're really doubling down on Horizon. I agree. That's an IP that I think should be revitalized in the modern day.
I love Killzone, and I'm so upset that they said they not pretty much going back to it. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, I would absolutely be fine with it being handed off right to a different studio.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're not going back. They're doubling down on Horizon. They're really building out Horizon as a world fabric, not just as a singular, game trilogy. And I think that could be okay. From a creative aspect, I don't believe that it's going to necessarily move the needle. Yeah, but but again, I also don't know that it needs to. The key thing is it needs to not be another commercial failure, like Concord.
Right. I think this game could have the potential to be good if it's like core game design isn't what we get from Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. But I also kind of feel like if Herman Holst wasn't the CEO of First Party, this wouldn't be happening. I think he before he had the previous two roles where he was just the lead executive on First Party, and now he's co-CEO that runs First Party. Before he was doing all that, he was studio head of Guerrilla, and I feel like every time Guerrilla pushes another Horizon game, I feel like he's just kind of like yeah. Cause Horizon's on the same level as The Last of Us. Like in his mind, that's how he looks at it. Like it's on the same level as Uncharted or in God of War and all that, because that's his thing. It's from his studio. And I kind of feel like it might be a bit of an oversaturation of the IP at this point. You got Horizon Lego that just came out, was not much of a critical success. I mean, commercially, we'll see what happens, right? But the reviews weren't kind to it. And now you got Horizon Online, and you're probably going to make another Horizon game that's in the main line of the series, a single player one. It's just, it can't. I've never seen a more boring protagonist have so much stuff out there. It's just pump the brakes, man. Let Guerrilla make something else. Do they want to make something else? Please make something else. Like you don't have to go back to Killzone, but just make something different,
right?
And if you want to make a survival online game, I don't think attaching the Horizon IP name to the title helps you. I don't think it does anything for you. So I don't really think you need to be tying everything into this one universe. Go ahead, Elijah.
Well, and this thing is going to be coming to bear at a time when we're going to see, theoretically, a lot of outgrowth of the Assassin's Creed franchise. A lot of maturation, a lot of evolution, theoretically a lot of weaving together of a lot of concurrent, simultaneous. Forte, you doing dishes, man?
No, why you say that? Oh, I was moving my chair.
It sounded like he was throwing dishes into a sink. That's what it sounded like. This man loves to do everything with his mic live. Yeah. Like everything with his mic live.
I'm like, are we doing chores on this podcast?
I'm about to start vacuuming. Oh, I didn't know you guys could hear that. Oh, I don't know. It's it's just a vacuum. Go ahead.
Man.
Go ahead.
So, I think that could be an interesting, I think there's a significant amount of overlap, I think, between like your demographic of people who likes a Horizon type of game and a person who likes an Assassin's Creed type of game. And if you're putting that property out there, which, and I'm not standing on the square of, every game needs to be on every platform, but if you're putting a game out there that you're only putting on PlayStation, and maybe because it's open, it's you're concurrently launching it on PC, but yet you've got a big bow wave of support going behind the Assassin's Creed IP across all platforms, including stretching out onto mobile. just maybe may create an interesting, competitive space where you're not gaining a lot of traction, perhaps on Horizon. If a competing IP that's again kind of a similar vein and has a similar type of attraction to a similar demographic, that might create a problem. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's finish up this. This is supposed to be rapid fire, but this is more like single fire sniping. This is so because we've been going through these topics pretty slow, but it's been good conversation, so I'm not complaining. But last one of the rapid fire topics is Stellar Blade is according to Shift Up, the developer, will be releasing on PC in 2025. So I'm pretty sure all the modders have their ideas on what they plan on modding the character Eve into already set to go, and it's probably going to be absolutely disgusting. But that said, they Shift Up said something very interesting in regards to sales. They said that the sales of Stellar Blade was good on PlayStation, but they anticipated doing even better on PC. And I do wonder, because they definitely engage in the fan service, if they think it's the fan service aspect of things that's really going to really push this game. But they did kind of allude to the success of Black Myth Wukong. And on PC, that the bulk of that game sales came from Steam, and I would disagree with them if they believe, because of the success of Black Myth Wukong, that Stellar Blade will have a similar, like maybe not the same sales to the same degree, but the same ratios between PlayStation and PC and the percentages of sales. I don't think this game is going to. There was a lot of national pride from China when it came to Wukong, and that kind of like the vast bulk of that game sales are from China. Unless South Korea feels the same way about Stellar Blade, I just don't think you're going to be able to get those that same level of sales. But I do think that there's a certain segment of the PC community that can't wait for this game. So I do think it's going to sell somewhat well. Forte, what are your thoughts about Stellar Blade on PC in 2025?
I just want to see what people are going to be making for like all the mods.
Oh, you already
stuff.
know.
That's all I'm waiting to see.
You already know.
That's all I want to see.
It's about to get very strange out there.
Yeah, that's kind of all I want to kind of see. But I'm definitely interested in the game because I didn't play it on PlayStation. I didn't buy it on there, so it's definitely something I wanted to play because I hear it's really good.
It's a good game. It's combat's very good. It's I think story is just okay.
Okay.
But looks good. It's going to look even better on PC, and the combat is pretty good. I didn't finish it because I just got distracted, as I tend to do. That's one I will give you, Forte. That's one where I was like, I think I was probably about 2/3 to maybe 3/4 of the way through the game, and I just. I don't know what came out around that time this year. Maybe Shadow of the Erdtree.
I think so.
It could have been that where like something got my attention and I just couldn't go back to it. Maybe I'll pick it up on PC. I doubt it. Probably would just finish it on PlayStation. But Logic, what are your thoughts about Stella Yams getting a BBL on PC in 2025? What are your thoughts on it?
No, I mean I'm glad it's there for people who want it. It's not a game in my particular interest span, but I'm glad. I'm sure it'll do fine. Yeah, and the game is on Steam, right? Or is going to Steam?
It's going to Steam. Yeah.
I mean, it'll do fine. Rodimus in the chat goes, do they really have to mod the game, SloMo?
Erodimus, is water wet?
Well, my thing
Is the sky blue?
It's not a matter
you
of
need
need
oxygen to breathe. Of course, they need the mod the game. That's who they are. Like you think about some of the wild stuff they did with less fan servicey kind of characters. So I'll take Resident Evil 3 for example, or Resident Evil 2 remake. Both of those, what they did with Jill and what's the other girl's name? Claire? Is it Claire Redfield?
Yeah, Claire.
They also did a who's an Anna one too.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Do they really need the modded? They about to have Eve looking like a completely different character. It's just about to, like, they probably already had, like, when Shift Up did the whole collaboration with Near Automata with 2B and 2A, putting them into Stellar Blade, which look the skins look really good. Look, you know, they did a good job where they didn't mail it in. But wait till these modders who haven't seen sunlight on their skin since 2017. Wait till they start getting with this game and putting different kind of characters out there. They already getting started. Spider-Man 2 come out in January on PC. They already talk about how they're gonna change up Mary Jane. It's ridiculous. I will be there for the Mary Jane mods though. But regardless, that's the mod community on PC. They don't play around, man. All right, let's get into our first actual real topic. This is ridiculous. My bad on allowing us to rapid fire for too long. But we got an announcement that the VGA nominees will be announced on Monday at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as in typical Jeff Keighley fashion, there is going to be drama. There's going to be people complaining about the nominees. There is going to be a lot of angst and anger and frustration going on as certain games get snubbed. Games people felt should have been deserving of a nominee. It's all going to happen. And what we're going to talk about is strictly just the 6 nominees for Game of the Year. So, Forte, what are your... give me your 6 nominees for Game of the Year.
Ooh,
not what you believe should be the nominees, but what you think they will be.
Oh shoot, man! I didn't expect you to ask that.
Do you
come
need
back to me? Yeah, come back to me. Okay. On that.
Logic. Do you have your 6, or do you need a second too?
I don't need as many seconds as Forte. I'll have him here.
How y'all need as many seconds as Forte? He got to go. He about to go look up a list of games in 2024. That's what he's doing right now.
Hey,
I will go. I will give you guys the opportunity. I will go first. First game on my list. 6 games. Okay. First game on my list is going to be Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Okay.
I think Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth would be there. Came out earlier this year. It was beloved. See, I believe you fully have to think about what games media thinks about these games. Not if they're really deserving or not. But if games media love the game and it reviewed very well, more than likely it's going to be on the list. And so the Like a Dragon series is well liked by the gaming community as well as games media. Its Metacritic score was above 90. It's going to be in there. That's my first nominee. My second nominee is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Here's another one that was reviewed fairly well. It comes from a studio that they routinely put their games in the Game of the Year conversation. If you recall, Final Fantasy VII Remake was in the Game of the Year, was a nominee back in 2020 when it came out. So I think Rebirth will also get in there, especially considering it's reviewed better than Remake did. This I'm a hate that this happens, because I am adamantly against this kind of practice, and I think it's just basically Jeff Keighley pandering to his favorite developers. But my number 3 is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Now I know you're wondering, SloMo, how was that possible?
You know,
because
like
Elden
DLCs
Ring came out
in
2022 or 2021 or whatever. Like that's not possible. What Jeff Keighley came out today and answered the question specifically about this is why that expansion, not a game, a freaking expansion is on my list, and is based off of what Jeff Keighley said very recently. And I'll try to find his statement real quick. Here's the question. Are DLCs, expansion packs, and remakes, remasters eligible? Now, we already know remakes are eligible because we've seen plenty of remakes, like Resident Evil 2 remake, Final Fantasy VII remake. We've seen remakes get nominated, so that's fine. But the fact that he added in this question DLCs, expansion packs, and remasters is just that's nasty work. That's just a visual facelift. Like, what are we doing here? Anyway, the answer is the Game Awards aims to recognize the best creative and technical work each year, irrespective of the format of that content's release. Expansion packs, new game seasons, DLCs, remakes, and remasters are eligible in all categories if the jury deems the new creative and technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Factors such as the newness of the content and its price value should be taken into consideration. The fact that he came out and said that tells me that on Monday, we're going to be seeing Shadow of the Erdtree in a lot of categories you don't deserve to be in. And one of them, in my opinion, will be Game of the Year. So that's my 3, right? That's 3. I need 3 more. I believe we need an indie title in here, because they always have a token indie. I'm gonna go. I ain't even played it, but Balatro, is that it? Where people are loving that, so I'll give it to Balatro. It could be Unicorn Overlord. I think that's more deserving. But again, this isn't about what I want, what I think. It's about what I believe that will be there. You gotta have your token Nintendo game in there, and so that token Nintendo game would be that new Zelda game that came out.
Echo Wisdom.
Yeah, so that's number 5. And then you always have to have your representative from the Sony camp, and that's going to be Astrobot. So that is my 6. That is my 6 nominees. Now, Forte, are you ready?
You just. Well, Logic said he didn't need longer than me, so let Logic go.
Oh my God, how in the world? Logic, go ahead.
I just want to hear Logic.
Astrobot.
Yep.
Okay, Astrobot. That's 1.
Metaphor Refantasia.
Ooh. You know what? I feel like it's going to get snubbed for Shadow of the Erdtree. But yeah, it's deserving though. It's very, very well deserving. But go ahead. That's Stu.
So my first breaking of ranks and risk is adding Final Fantasy VII to the list. Not because of Final Fantasy VII, but because in general, I don't believe that we see if a JRPG gets into the nominations. I don't think that we ever see 2. So I'm putting Metaphor ReFantasio up there and Final Fantasy VII in the pool.
Okay, so we got 3.
I too am gonna go Balatro. I've been saying since the last time we did this, which I think was maybe before Astrobot came out, that Balatro I think is the one of these things that's going to kind of break this glass ceiling of like there's never been a card game, but like I constantly hear the media talking about Balatro and constantly hear about them not being able to put it down, not being able to keep from coming back to it, constantly winding up on their playlist of things that they go back to. So that's 4. My 5th, I actually think Like a Dragon is going to get snubbed. And
I can see it.
I readily admit I could be wrong, but I'm going to say that I think it's going to get snubbed. So what am I at? I'm at 4 now, right?
Yeah.
Man, number 5. I mean, Unicorn Overlord up there. Then that starts to get crazy, right? Because now you're talking about 3 JRPGs. But I mean, it has been a bonga year for JRPGs. Like, very true. Like no other. And you know, so and I mean, in addition to that, like there's a Trails game out this year, right? That's in my opinion really good. But so pick 5. Admittedly, I'm undecided between like Unicorn Overlord, wondering if Prince of Persia is gonna get in as a sweetheart.
Oh yeah,
I was just thinking about
rooting for Prince of Persia just because I want them to win something, and then Ubisoft have to send the team or people from the team that they disbanded up there, and I just want one of them to be like, I want them to win. I've pictured this in my mind. They win something, and then one of them comes up on stage, and they say, "Thank you for this award. Too bad Ubisoft didn't think this game was good enough." I want them to say something to that effect, you know, to really stick it to Ubisoft. This game won an award, and you disbanded the studio, the team, and then refused to do a sequel.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Prince of Persia for pick number 5. It's a Unicorn Overlord. I think would be crazy for 3 JRPGs in there. And then 6. I am also going to say Legend of Zelda because I can't see going a year without having a Nintendo game in the list of nominees.
Right. Forte, are you finally ready now?
Yeah, I am. So you said games that. Not games that I think, but games that I have a feeling that they're going to put in there.
Right, yeah. The games that you think will actually be the nominees, not what you believe should be the nominee.
Rebirth will be 1. Like a Dragon will be 2. Okay. I was thinking about Prince of Persia because that was like the best game that Ubisoft put out this year. Legit.
Yes, but that is what you believe deserves to be there.
It deserves to be there. I don't think it will be there. Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Zelda, I do think Echoes of Wisdom will be there because it's just none of the Mario games were strong enough this year, I feel, to be put into the category. Brotherhood had a chance, but it has too many technical difficulties. So I think, what's that, 3? Is that 3? So Metaphor, I think, will be in there.
That's 4.
Because Metaphor, a lot of people have just been talking about Metaphor. Metaphor. You know what? No, I'm not going to say that. Everybody's going to laugh and say, that was a walking sim. I was going to say, that's not going to be there. I think Wulong's going to be in there because they had a lot of hype around it.
You mean Wukong?
Yeah, Wukong's going to be in it. And Unicorn.
I don't think Wukong is going to be in it, and here's why. Games media, unless it's from software, they typically do not choose games that are difficult and frustrate them. And I don't think Wukong was difficult, but the number of games media people I saw complaining about the difficulty tells me that, yeah, they ain't going to vote for that.
I put it like this. If Wukong doesn't make it in, it's going to be, I think, 2 PlayStation first title games are going to make it in there, which is going to be Astrobot and Helldivers.
Helldivers. I would say Helldivers is deserving because
it's
reception, and this staying power as a live service game. I think it's deserving, but
I think it's gonna.
Exactly.
I think Nintendo's gonna. I mean, PlayStation's gonna get 2. So I would say Helldivers, Astrobot, Metaphor, Metaphor. Oh, Like a Dragon, and what was the last one I said? Unicorn Overload.
Okay. Well, we will see what's going to happen. The nominees go live again, 12 noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Are we watching
on
live?
Monday? I might do a lunchtime with SloMo. We'll
what
see
day
how
is
it goes.
that?
We'll see how. It's Monday.
Oh, I work that day. Dang.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Let's discuss a documentary that came out this week. From a little game called South of Midnight. South of Midnight is the first game by Compulsion Games under the Microsoft/Xbox banner. They were one of the first studios that was acquired by Xbox when they started on their spending spree. They were acquired back in 2018, and I think they finally stopped supporting We Happy Few around 2019, and they've been working on this game ever since. Now, of course, you got your anti-DEI grifters who are already added with this game because basically it features a black woman as a main protagonist, and the documentary featured many black faces as developers working on the game. So, immediately, they say it's not about race, but it's typical predictable fashion. When those two dynamics are in play, they seem to always be complaining about woke this, woke that. Anyway, so there's all that going on with it. It's targeting a release date in 2025. There's no actual date or even season, but it's supposed to be coming out sometime in 2025. Gameplay comparisons have been comparing it to Kena Bridge of Spirits and Forspoken. And it has stop motion animation, which if you don't like that, like myself, you can turn that off, which is good. And it's being developed on Unreal Engine 4, surprisingly, not Unreal Engine 5, and will target 60 frames per second on consoles. So, Game Logic, what are your thoughts about South of Midnight? Well, first, did you see the documentary, and what are your thoughts about the game in general?
I didn't see the documentary. This has been a game that I've found interesting, since it showed up initially at the showcase. I was very critical of just kind of the way it was showcased, and there wasn't really a ton of explanation around what the heck the game was. You had to, that was posted on the Xbox Wire blog. There was a very expansive expose on what the game was and what the creative ethos was behind it. I'm like, this is information that should have been in the showcase. But regardless, I'm very interested to see how it lands. That along with Clockwork Revolution is one that I find interesting. That's on my radar. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have high hopes for this game. One of my favorite comic books actually over the last few years was an indie book. I think it was under Image or maybe IDW. I think it was under Image by Colin Bunn. That was the something of Harrow County, but it was about the same area of the country in Haints, and just kind of brought a lot of the like one of the things that I really love about the Deep South and some of these cultures is there's a lot of like very specific language and vocabulary around a lot of their like mythologies that don't really get brought to the fore in creative work. So I'm super excited to see this one because I've delved into this in another creative medium. So no, I'm looking forward to it. The DEI, people, I just, have written them off. They've occupied too much of my attention and time, that I shouldn't have even bothered giving them, because it's just a bunch of foolishness. And Grums is like the most, like, of all people and accounts that I've ever seen on Twitter, is like the least credible, worst, persona that's on there. And the people who follow him are of absolutely zero substance. So I think it's just time to start starving those people for air and not paying them any mind.
Big facts. Forte, did you get the chance to see the documentary, and what do you think about South of Midnight?
I didn't. I was at work at the visit during that, but I've always been interested in the game. I did read some of the article about the documentary, about how each area has its own distinct main enemy and stuff in it, which I think is really, really cool. So it kind of like breaks up the map into different quadrants of like kind of threats that you have to deal with in those areas. I really like that. Just the overall vibe of the game just looks really, really cool. So it's definitely something that I was, even when I saw it at the showcase, I was like, yeah, this game right here looks like one of the better games that Xbox has found a way to put some money into. And I think it's going to actually be a pretty good game. We got to wait to see on the execution of it, but just the little stuff I read about it, I was already interested. I'm just super more interested now in it.
Yeah, I've been interested in this game ever since they first showed it, and I thought it showed really well. I think I like some of the traversal that they showed in the game. I like the way that looks implemented. We'll actually see how it feels when we play it. Right. But the game, the level design, I think is very unique. I love the art direction. It's I like art directions that are not trying to go full photorealism. Yeah. I think it kind of stands the test of time better. What are you doing in the background, Forte?
That's not me.
This man unloading bottles off a truck. That's what it sounds
like. Oh, is that what that is?
What are you talking about? What are you doing?
He just got a delivery of Coca-Cola.
No. Okay. Oh, that's what that is. See, these headphones I have on, I don't hear anything when I have them on. So I don't hear that any. No, I have. So my wife brought all the, we have in our basement. She has all the bottles down there. So she put them, because I keep forgetting to take them to the store. So she set them next to my desk. It was like, they're next to your desk. There's no reason for you to miss them now when you go to the store tomorrow. And I kicked the bag. That's what you did. That's the bag.
So you've been kicking a bag of bottles this entire time. And you don't think we're not going to hear a bag of empty bottles being clinked together?
Listen, I didn't even hear them because my headphones, until y'all said it again, I was like, what did I didn't do anything. Then I was like, I kicked the bag and the bag had bottles in it.
It's like you see what I deal with all the time.
You don't deal with anything. Calm down.
I deal with this.
This house in the burbs. It's 10-something o'clock at night, pitch black.
Kicking glass bottles.
They can't hear it upstairs.
What's the problem? They can't hear it. Why would you hear me kicking empty Coca-Cola bottles? I don't understand. Why are you guys hearing that? I don't know. Let me take these bottles and just throw them up against the wall. Can you guys hear that? I'm throwing why are you clinking them even more? I feel like you're just doing this on purpose now.
I was just doing that on purpose. They're Topochino bottles. They're mineral.
No one cares. We don't care what kind of bottles there are.
Carbonated water bottles.
No one cares. Do you
hear this one?
I don't know what that was. I don't want to know what that was.
That was a plastic bottle.
Anyway, South of Midnight. I like the art direction. Again, I like it when games don't go for photorealism, because those kind of games, the way they look, they tend to still look good a decade later. Whereas when games attempt to go photorealistic, we may like the way they look in the moment, but over time we see other games do it better, and then we look back at that game and go, oh, you didn't look that good to begin with. And so when you do a very unique art direction that no one else is doing, it always seems to work. And I like that. I like the fact that when I watched the documentary, how much time and effort they put into making the game feel authentic to the Deep South. Like, it wasn't just like, and yeah, I'm about to take a shot at Kojima. Oh, this is the Midwest of the United States, and this looks like New Zealand. No, like, clearly you never took a trip to the United States to see the region of the world that you were going to depict your game for. Nor did you care, because the game's about delivering packages and you wanted to make it difficult, on rocky terrain. This game, like the one of the main directors and the bulk of the studio for Compulsion are from Canada. I think Montreal, they said. And they said they took multiple trips to the Deep South so they could like make sure that how things looked authentic, how it felt was authentic. They music wise, they got artists, they got church choirs involved, they got artists. They had this young white kid who sounded like an old black man. He like a real artist, but he sounded like an old black man when he sings. Like, and they got all these people together. They got a composer from France to kind of like put it together and make sure the sound was like really popping. They put a lot of work into it, and I appreciate the level of attention that they put into trying to make this be something that would really like be different, but also be of high quality as well. And one thing I saw that I thought was pretty cool was how they brought in like folklore writers and storytellers from the South to come in and tell stories to them in the studio so they could kind of get an idea of how to write a story around this. And so I think, all that said, plus they got freaking the mocap actor for Jar Jar Binks actually working in this game. I'm excited for what it could be. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping this is going to be good. I hope it turns out well. Any other things you guys want to say about South of Midnight before we move on? Nope. Nothing else to be said. Let's ask one very simple question.
Nothing else to be said.
What is an Xbox?
My phone's an Xbox.
What is that? What does an Xbox like? What is it? Is it a video game console? Is it your microwave? Is it your Apple Watch? Is that an Xbox? So why am I asking this question? Because Microsoft came out with a new marketing campaign about what's an Xbox. And they had a video, a trailer for this, which I'm gonna roll it. It said, "This is Xbox. This is an Xbox," and it shows you various different ways to play Xbox games. So they had a nice little 1 minute trailer there, and then they also had a blog link to a web page where you can click on various sections of this graphic and see various different platforms that you can play Xbox games on. But let me ask this question to Logic first. Is it me, or does it seem a bit premature to be pushing this kind of marketing, considering if you are an Xbox gamer your game library is really basically being held hostage on the console. Like, I think it's a bit premature because you don't actually, by the way this commercial makes it seem like, yeah, any game you want to play, that's an Xbox game that you own with the Xbox. You can play it wherever, however, on a mobile phone, on a PC handheld, even PC doesn't really have a lot of those games available. Like, Logic, what are your thoughts about this entire marketing campaign and how it was implemented?
Well, I mean, being held hostage by a combination of the console and Game Pass, and being being held at gunpoint by Game Pass Ultimate, right? Like maybe you can get access to all those games, but the only way you can do that is to subscribe at the highest tier. Which, I mean, admittedly, not that expensive in the grand scheme of things, not the worst it could be, but by implementation of the tier strategy over the summer, definitely an arm twist, right? To say, there's really, to me, I mean, there's really no point in being a Game Pass subscriber, except at Game Pass Ultimate. I think, have you ever? And I think I'm relatively certain that both of you have had this experience. Have you ever gone into a bathroom, particularly that's not like yours, not one that you personally use, and nobody else uses it, and just taking a big blow out dookie, right? Just blowing the place up, the point
is this going?
The point
he basically said that you go into the enemy territory and lay a deuce.
The point of this is I'm going to go straight there. There's going to be no warm up, no preamble. I believe this entire shtick will be the downfall of Sarah Bonds. This has been her thing.
Really?
This has been her thing. She has been pushing it. When you say this in front of a bunch of engineers and developers, I am relatively certain that it comes off flat, disingenuous, and lacking credibility. It sounds like typical marketing guy from Harvard, dude bro, who doesn't really get it and doesn't really understand what's going on. And the more she pushes it, and the more it becomes this battle cry and this slogan, it just starts to sound worse and worse and worse and worse. As a thing that people are expected to rally behind, right, including consumers, right? The Xbox fan base. Now, there's parts of the Xbox fan base that will just rally behind anything that they're told. So that goes without saying. But this whole, again, there's multiple problems and points within this direction, this vector. I've said many times, if you're really trying to push for a game platform that is available on the most screens, then by metrics, you would be trying to put your games on Android. And I know that they're trying to put their games on devices, but no, you would actually try to put your games on Android, the operating system, because it is the most populous operating system in existence in the world today. It surpassed Windows in the late 2010s, and it continues to blow up. There are, and again, then the other big problem I have is, again, this whole notion that somehow by virtue of putting Halo on a microwave, right, suddenly mom is some latent gamer with some hidden X gene that is suddenly going to become activated and she's suddenly going to become a gamer, and that's just not true. So there's multiple points of this dialogue and this marketing vector that are just inaccurate. And just the harder and harder it gets pushed, while they continue to slip more and more in terms of hardware market share, it just becomes it just sounds ridiculous. And again, you're not really proving the point of this enabling Xbox to turn the corner. Because while we champion and crow cry about an increasing number of MAU, again, what I constantly point to is, yes, okay, so if MAU is going up, but those consumers are generating less than the revenue of the PlayStation consumers, that means that they're low ARPU customers and they're not spending money. So who cares? So it just, again, I mean, as we've all talked about over the years, the point of the brand needs to be about games, and it needs to be about putting those games in the hand of consumers. I have zero problem with Xbox publishing its games on PlayStation. That makes total sense to me. Put games on Nintendo makes total sense to me. This marketing campaign of every screen is an Xbox just sounds like the worst type of marketing tripe BS that I've ever heard. So that's just how it sounds to me.
Forte, anything you want to say to follow that up?
Man, he said it all. Every screen, everything is an Xbox. Like it was like a marketing, it was like almost like a marketing rollout that started 3 days ago when Phil Spencer had the interview with Bloomberg, and he was talking about no red lines.
Oh, that's
a whole, that's another topic. But it started that day. Then it went into we're not done making acquisitions, but we want to finish absorbing ABK into their employees into Microsoft. And then this whole everything's an Xbox. And I was like, now this isn't surprising, because they've been saying everything is an Xbox for years, where you think we got the saying that, Xbox is PC is Xbox. That's because Xbox and PC, that was where Xbox was putting the most of the majority of their games. Plus it's a Microsoft platform when you talk about the ecosystem that Windows is built on when it comes to regular PCs. So it's not shocking that they're going in it, but this is them full blown just telling you, like, they're not even it's no more cloak and dagger. Do you know what this tells me, SloMo? This tells me the fight that they probably were fighting Microsoft with in the background when it became Xbox versus Microsoft. This tells me that Microsoft won. This is what this told me. Microsoft won. They were going to win no matter what, unless Xbox and Phil Spencer and them could have came up with a very plausible plan to not let this full-blown thing happen. I think there were red lines at one point, but but over the course of
everyone has red lines.
Yeah, everybody has red lines. There were definitely red lines at some point. But guess what?
They ain't got them no more.
They ain't got them no more. There ain't no more red lines, bro. So this is Phil Spencer just basically coming out and telling everybody, like, hey, listen, Xbox is everywhere. It's not just the console. It's your phone. It's your tablet. It's your girlfriend. It's your auntie, your uncle. That's what Xbox is now. So I'm not surprised. We've been telling people for a long time to prepare for the moment where Microsoft came out and just finally told you the truth. And that's what they're basically telling you now. The Microsoft has developed Xbox. It's like, PlayStation. I mean, not PlayStation, but whatever fight Xbox did have to try to fight to like stave this off, they lost. And going forward, it's just a matter of time. I don't think you're going to see every game day and date. But after at some point in time, every game is going to hit another platform like PlayStation or anything like that. And I remember making a video a long time ago when this first happened, saying like the only thing they needed to keep was Halo. I was like, just keep Halo. You lose your whole identity if that happens. And guess what? that is definitely on the table, especially, and we should have seen the writing on the wall when 343 got renamed to Halo Studios and they flipped over to Unreal 5 for their their engine to make all new Halo games going forward, something that is going to be cross-compatible with multiple platform development. So this is all something that has kind of been ushered, like scooting its way along the ground, like skid marks from a car, but unfortunately, this is like the direction that we have to deal with at this point. If you want to continue to be an Xbox gamer or Xbox supporter, the only thing I wish they would have did if they was going to go full blown like this is when they made their trailer, they should have just had a picture of a PlayStation and say a PlayStation is an Xbox too. And I would have been
coming next.
And I would have been.
That's in next year's marketing.
Yeah, and then it would have. Then I think the circle of life would have been complete because literally, they're basically telling you the flag has been waved. They're telling you that hardware is on the horizon. Everybody was hoping for a handheld. The handheld is years away, even knowing they've been partnering with third party companies to basically theory craft and come up with a solution on how to make their own handheld. But they're so behind on that. It's just so much ineptitude going on at Microsoft right now. The company, like, remember when we said SloMo? The company has been like Xbox is being run by bean counters now. The gamers aren't in control at Xbox anymore. And this marketing push right here, everything's in Xbox, is basically telling you that now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say my piece real quick, and we can roll into this last topic. I do not understand why it always seems like the various arms of this massive $1 trillion corporation never seem to be in sync.
Yep.
We not too long ago there was an article from about Sarah Bond that was boosting her up to the detriment of 10 p.m. bedtime Phil Spencer. And in that fluff piece for Sarah Bond, they were talking about how she saved the ABK deal, how she's pushing to have a real Xbox app on iOS and Android, and it's just like, it's not ready. It's still not ready. The app isn't ready yet. So if the app's not ready yet, and your Xbox PC app is still dog water, and xCloud is still far, far, far behind GeForce Now, what is Xbox? What is an Xbox exactly? Because you don't want to say it's an Xbox console, but that's the only place to actually get an experience where your games run correctly. You have all of your Xbox library there. You actually have dedicated hardware for it, and the UI UX works correctly. All of these things, everything that you claim that you want to be a quality experience, you have with the console, but you don't have it in all these other places you keep trying to be. There is no purpose in being everywhere if the experience everywhere is mediocre. Then why do it? Why are you marketing? It's the same thing they did with Fire Stick. Fire Stick, Xbox on Fire Stick, garbage. The experience, garbage. The latency, ridiculous. It was not ready. You still marketed like it was like, hey, come over here, spend $20 to play Xbox in the worst way possible. First impressions are a serious thing. And if you're trying to ingratiate in a Firefox audience, a Fire Stick, I say Firefox, that's a web browser. The Fire Stick audience to Xbox, you failed. Because even if they were interested, your product wasn't ready for prime time. So like your reputation around the world when it comes to Xbox, bad at localization, that's not a good experience for me as a South Korean player or a Chinese player, or name a country where that the primary language isn't English player. The basis, the foundation of this entire industry is to make good games and to provide good gaming experiences. You can't have good games and good gaming experiences being in the double digits of your priority on your list of priorities. Meanwhile, you got cloud up at the top, and you got, hey, you know, we wanna let everyone know that Xbox isn't a console. The marketing is where let's get the marketing there. Where the games at, man? Are the games ready? Is your platform ready? Can you launch the app and it work? You tell me you couldn't delay this stupid 1 minute commercial until all this stuff was ready? It's just typical of Xbox to be not in sync. And then this doesn't work out. And then people, you know, have to fall on their sword for it. So let's get into this last topic of the night, which is also just so happened to be about Xbox and Mr. Phil Spencer. So Phil Spencer did an interview with Bloomberg earlier this week. And, you know, he said a lot of interesting things. He once again mentioned handhelds, but said it was a few years away. So those who felt, you know, that like, you know, with a lot of thoughts out there, a lot of the people thinking it was coming 2026. It looks like the handheld is going to be even further out.
Keep waiting you've been waiting for your games.
Right. I believe by the time they come out with this handheld, they would have missed the boat. Because everything that they are talking about doing behind the scenes, what they're trying to get going, they want to have an Xbox OS. They want to be able to license that out to some of these other PC handheld manufacturers, you know, your Asuses, your Lenovo's, your Logitechs. Hey, come on. We'll give you the OS. It's stripped down Windows without all the junk you don't need. It's just going to work for games. We got you. You know what? They're going to be like, you know what? We were waiting on that, but Valve got Steam OS already out. So we just gonna roll with them. Because that's what Valve's doing right now. Steam OS is about ready for prime time next year. And even though Valve said we're waiting for a real evolution in the PC handheld arena before we come out with a Steam Deck 2, the way you going, they're gonna come out with a Steam Deck 2 before you too. But Phil Spencer mentioned PC handhelds. He mentioned that they weren't done with acquisitions, and why would you, you know, why would you be done when, you know, Lena Khan about to be up out of here?
Yep.
You still got to contend with the CMA in the EU, but, you know, a little bit easier endeavor if you want to acquire any more publishers or developers of stature in the future. But the real thing that really got people talking was about multi-platform and about Xbox first party being not just on PC but potentially on Nintendo Switch, whatever the new thing's going to be called, and PlayStation.
Don't call it new thing. Don't say that. Don't say it like that.
What?
You saying it like you saying it disrespectfully. Just say whatever the new console.
I don't know whatever what the name is.
No, whatever the thing is called. You said whatever whatever the next console is called. Don't call it a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
These are all things.
It is
people.
It is part of an ecosystem that sold 140 million, 45 million consoles. Respect that. Respect that ecosystem.
I ain't respecting nothing anyway. Look,
just because somebody bought you one that you didn't want.
I do not see sort of red lines in our portfolio that say thou must not. Phil Spencer's words.
Thou must not.
In regards to their first party portfolio. So what does that mean? Well, in very simple terms, that means that they don't see anything really holding them back for putting, frankly, anything in their IP portfolio on rival platforms. Is that Halo? Is that Gears? Is that Forza? Yeah. And so I saw some people trying to downplay this. And I think it's quite simple what they mean by that. They mean, and for Phil Spencer to say this so openly, don't be surprised if you start seeing a game or two that you didn't expect or that your favorite content creator told you would never happen show up on PlayStation. Now, does that mean that... No. Let me say this real quick. And yes, Erodimus, I'm talking about partially about you, by the way. People are saying, oh, what's the big deal? He been said this. He been saying this for months now. He said this back in June. Why y'all making a big deal about it? Well, here's why people are making a big deal about it. The majority of you who are even saying that were denying that it was like this back then. Many of you were denying that these games would ever see the light of day on a PlayStation when you claim Phil Spencer was saying it was just that. So were you lying then or were you lying now? Is what I want to know. Were you denying the truth then or are you denying the truth now? Inquiring minds would like to know the answer to that. And nobody can seem to answer the question of why Phil Spencer decided to go and say Indiana Jones is not one of the games going to PlayStation. And technically, what he said wasn't a lie. It wasn't one of the first 4 games to go. But when you know, because it's impossible to make this port of a game and develop it for a platform and not have it not be in development at the time when he said this back in February. When you know the game is in development on PlayStation, why make a statement like that knowing how it will be implied? Knowing the impact that will have on the actual gamers is that there is no plans of Indiana Jones going to PlayStation. But that's not actually true. What was actually true was it wasn't for one of this first 4 crop of games going to PlayStation. And so it's like a lie of omission because you're not telling the full story. And when you have someone who is Phil is a master at PR and public relations, very rarely are you going to catch him slipping. When you have someone who speaks like this, why do some of y'all still continue to act like his word is like his bond? It's the gospel. Oh, if Phil said it, then it's definitely going to happen. Or it's definitely not going to happen. But Phil says a lot of things. And oftentimes the things that Phil says end up becoming contradiction 2 years later. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about no red lines. Let's talk about the big pillars of Xbox potentially being somewhere else. And as Forte said, absolutely, Microsoft won.
They won.
Those who are not a part of the gaming division, that have zero experience in the gaming industry, who don't understand what exclusives are and why they would be important, who got their roles in Microsoft based off of productivity, based off of selling Microsoft Office. And as far as they're concerned, their entire career is about putting their product in as many places as possible to get as many sales as possible. Why would you do the opposite? Doesn't make sense to them. But it clearly doesn't make sense to them because they don't work in entertainment. And they don't understand that usually a gamer isn't going to buy multiple consoles. They're going to pick one and they're going to ride that out and stick with that one throughout the generation. And sure, you can say, well, this is why they're putting their games on PlayStation, because of that gamer that's not going to go to an Xbox when they're already on a PlayStation. But here's the problem. You still sell an Xbox, bro. And you're not helping that Xbox make sales when you're taking away the uniqueness of the features of the box and giving it to your competition. And what are you getting back from your competition? Nada. No, Death Stranding coming to Xbox has nothing to do with Sony. They don't own the IP. They did not publish it. The only thing that they have involved with Death Stranding right now is the game engine. Of a game that came out how many years ago now? What, 3-4 years ago now? I'm just saying. Y'all gotta wake up at some point. See what's going on out here. And I would say, take some advice from me. And I'm not trying to be trollish or anything. I'm just saying, just take this advice. Look out for your own interests instead of a corporation's. If you're really upset that they're putting their games on PlayStation and Nintendo and you're getting none of their games back, maybe you should start making some decisions now, because they clearly don't value your feelings in this. You're not enough. They spent $70 billion on a publisher, and they got to make that money back. And they're going to make that money back without you, because what you provide on a monetary value for the platform is not enough. So I just really hope some of you guys start to take what's going on and really, really take what Phil Spencer and many of the other Xbox executives are saying to heart. And start making gaming decisions that benefit you as an actual gamer. The games you want to play and how you want to play them and where you want to play them. And and actually getting those games. If you were an Xbox only gamer, you missed out on a really awesome Black Myth Wukong. But guess where that didn't get missed out on? PC and PlayStation. And in the future, those platforms will continue to have exclusive titles that you can only get on those platforms. And you will increasingly not get that on Xbox. Make the decision that works best for you as a gamer, is all I'm saying. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Logic, would you like to say anything about this topic? Did we lose Logic?
No, I'm here. I'm just deep in
Logic fell asleep.
No. I'm deep in thought. Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that, I mean, this continues to be the problem in the space, which is why I'm glad to a certain extent I've exited it. As I've said before, like I don't have any problems in most cases with most of Xbox's strategies, right? Again, I do point out the one thing that I said tonight, which is that like this whole supposition that like there's some latent gamers that if you just put games on some random screen in front of them, all of a sudden they're going to start gaming, I think is patently false and has been statistically and objectively proven so. But in most cases, like, look, you say that, my enemies are much more so the Googles and the Amazons and the other tech companies in the $1 trillion club. That's much more my concern than PlayStation. Roger that. I understand that. You say I'm fighting the war on Mao because what I'm trying to send is a signal to Amazon and Google that if you come over here and get in this space, you're never going to catch us on MAU. I get that, because those companies also care about MAU as a KPI, right? You say, I'm going to publish my games on other platforms because that's the thing that makes the most fiscal sense for us. Yeah, there's a point where that makes sense. But what so often happens is like the mealy mouth. Like, I think a lot of the discussion around like this thing this week is what a lot of people who made the comments that you said, SloMo, about like, this isn't a big deal. He said this. No, he has not said this before. What they said in February is that the decision pipeline for a title to go to PlayStation endured a heavy degree of governance. If people think back and remember the things that he said, there were a ton of things that constituted essentially a set of rules by which each title would be evaluated on a case-by-case singular basis for whether or not it would go to PlayStation. Has it expended all of the revenue that we expect that it can garner, right, on this platform, right, and several other parameters. And those things, from what was voice tracked, those things were at the GLT level. So Matt, and Sarah sat with whatever leads came to them and said, hey, we want to put this game on PlayStation or another platform, and they would have a board, and they would ask questions, and they would make that decision. What he voice tracked this week is that sounds like it has largely been stripped away, or has been simplified, or has been delegated, and it's much more so diluted and generic now, rather than being these big muscle movements requiring direct GLT oversight and involvement. It has become much more adopted as a generic strategy and business model than the thing that it was earlier this year. And what it says, kind of like you said, Forte, right, is that the regime of Amy the Hood continues to be pushed, and continues to constrict tighter and tighter and tighter. And I said this on some other podcast, but right, the COO, who is now coming over from General Electric, right, who has historically been a CFO. So she has been a CFO. She has been another Amy Hood who has driven efficiency and fiscal responsibility in an aggressive pursuit to improve margins, has now been brought over to Microsoft as a COO. So she is taking the financial discipline that she has had and has enforced, and she's now moving into a seat where she controls operations. And so program execution, program management, business lines, product management, those things go through her. So now you've got two Amy Hoods sitting at the table, essentially. And anybody who doesn't understand that that's a signal that things are about to get, like, even more strict than they've been, like, is not reading the tea leaves. So, but the problem in the space continues to be, like you said, SloMo, like, so much of the news is not necessarily solely what Xbox is doing. A lot of what Xbox is doing in many ways makes sense. It's the goofy way in which it is voice tracked, the disingenuousness in which it is voice tracked, right? The Phil Spencer interview after the Xbox showcase, right? With the McCaffrey softball, which was really a PR piece presented as if it was an actual piece of journalism, right? The things that got voice tracked this week, it's always, it's just always a veil,
Mm-hmm.
The podcast in October 2023. I don't, people always feel like, they're treating me like I have something hidden behind my back. I don't. I'm like, no, Phil, you actually do have something hidden behind your back every single time, right? Mm-hmm. Every single time. What you're speaking out of your mouth is not the reality of what's going on behind the things. Like, they're not the causality that you're briefing out. There's actually other things going on behind that. But in so much of it would be easier to digest if it were just open, transparent, honest, unveiled. You know, and I mean, and Sony's not guiltless in this aspect. I many times I bring up the fact like that whole BS around, oh, well, we're not going to enable crossplay because we're concerned about, you know, the citizens of our community like being contaminated by the bad behavior. I'm like,
yeah, that was nonsense.
Yeah,
that was complete nonsense.
And in the meantime, they were trying to work out a revenue share, right, deal where, you know, they tell people, hey, if you enable crossplay and we see revenue leakage, you guys are going to compensate us for that. You know, so PlayStation isn't guiltless of it, but in my opinion, the Xbox way of doing business and voice tracking and marketing and PR and messaging has just become far more like inherently disingenuous. You know, and then you have, like you said, you have a lot of influencers who push that agenda, right? Pick up those talking points. And have wound up over the years just misleading people because they're not making honest assessments and honest evaluations and conducting honest analysis. Right? They're just part of the PR machine, and that's why people get, you know, misled and surprised.
You know, when you look at, and I'm not saying they're perfect with this, but when you look at their competitors in the console space, Nintendo and Sony, we all know how they value their first party games. We all understand when they say we're about to release, okay, take Nintendo for example. We're going to release Metro Prime 4. Without even saying it, we all know where Metro Prime 4 is going to be. It's going to be on this new Nintendo Switch.
Hotness.
And it's going to be on the current Nintendo Switch. And that's it. It's not going to be on PlayStation. It's not going to be on Xbox. It's not going to be on the PC. They have defined where they say our content should be. We feel it is more valuable here. This is where, if you want it, you come to us and get it. And we think it's so good that you are absolutely going to spend X amount of dollars to go get it. And how does that work for them? I don't know, 140 plus, a million Nintendo Switches sold. PlayStation has been evolving where their content goes. But every time they make a change, what do? They tell the consumer. So look, these games, if it's a live service game, it's going to launch on PC day and date with PlayStation. If it's a single player game, due to our development pipeline and how we like to develop games, we at this time don't see a reason to put that game on PC first. So what we're going to do is launch it on PlayStation, and then within a year or so time, it will show up on PC. Clear on what is going on with their games. Now, of course, when you have various different game engines and different developers of levels of talent and just, whatever, other, their experience on PC in general, whether they're using a port studio to make it or not, all that will play into how long it takes to get that game on PC. But they told you up front how they are planning on working on it. You may not agree with it. You may feel like, hey, you should go day and day on everything. Or you could be like, I don't want you on PC at all whatsoever. You could be like click clacking like those ponies. But regardless of where you stand on your opinion on it all, they told you what they're doing. They let you know up front how it's going to work right now. And if it changes, guess what? They're going to update you and tell you what the new change is. If they roll into the new next generation of PS6, and now they have set up a development pipeline that allows them simultaneous release on PC, they're going to let you know we're doing simultaneous release on PC for everything now. It's called being clear. It's called being transparent with your community and not trying to pull one over on them or manipulate them to stay where they are and continue to giving you revenue when it doesn't really benefit them. And we could say, well, that's not what they were really trying to do, SloMo. What is the purpose? When you know you have more games coming to other platforms, what is the purpose of not admitting that? What's the purpose of telling people we're just doing a test? And you know it's not just a test. We're just testing this out. This isn't an indication of a change in direction for us in the future, but it was. It was a change in direction. That's called a lie. Very reminiscent to Phil Spencer telling Xbox gamers, hey, Quantum Break coming to PC, that's not indicative of any kind of change in our philosophy and how we do things. We're just doing a test. Well, how long did that test go before they were putting all their new releases on PC? They say these things to pacify you. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the people that's lying to you, I would say. Forte, anything you want to say about this, man?
Yeah, so I'm gonna work from the end that you just said to the front. Pause. The one thing that I always hated was, well, we all hated the mismessaging and stuff, but more of the fact that they knew all this stuff was on the table and they tried to like pretend or tell people that it wasn't. Like during the emergency conference call that they had with everybody, and then they came out on and did a stream.
The business update.
Yeah, the emergency business update, when they said, oh, 4 games. Oh, it's not these 4, it's just these 4 games. And I'm sitting there like, but then when they pressed them on the 4 games, says, is Starfield one of the 4 games? And they was like, no, it's not one. They said, no, it's not one of the. It said, we're just talking about these 4 games. You can't even answer the question directly. Is Starfield ever going to be on another platform? Well, we're only talking about these 4 games today. And we told people then, SloMo, we said, dude, listen, they are telling you without telling you what the hell is about to happen. It's the most irritating thing in the world. But they're literally up here telling you that all of this stuff is on the table. Now, the only reason they're not coming out and fully saying it is because I think there's a power struggle going on in the background where they're trying to like kind of ease and trying to get Microsoft to ease up on some of their deliverables and have them try to keep some stuff to themselves. But like I said, Microsoft won this battle. Xbox leadership lost it. So now you're hearing the truth. In whatever version of the truth you want to take this as. For me, it's literally something that I've always kind of knew and felt in the background. Like, yeah, I was holding on for certain games and stuff, but even myself, I was thinking, it's like they don't care. You know, this is the same company that tells you that they're telling you for 2 to 3 years you don't need an Xbox. So if they're telling you don't need an Xbox, what makes you think they care about telling you about the game? Like, where are they going to sell the games at? They're telling everybody you don't need this, but you got to play these games somewhere. So they're basically telling you, one thing and then expecting people to read, they're expecting people to read through the lines. And then you got all these, a lot of the Xbox, and I'm not mad at them. I don't want to throw smoke at Xbox gamers and stuff, because gaming is a very emotional hobby because you get very attached to it. I'm older now, so I kind of grew out of the phase where I'm just super attached to this certain things. Like, yes, I have favorite franchises and favorite IPs and stuff like that. I still have favorite consoles, but the direction these consoles and stuff go in doesn't impact me anymore. I don't care about the business sense that it makes. I told people a long time ago, don't like people who says Game Pass is unsustainable. Why this and that? I was like, why are you arguing about why Game Pass is unsustainable? They're giving you I said Microsoft is giving you a gift right now by allowing you to get games at a quarter of the price that you normally would get them for. So I look at it on both sides of the avenue. Like I look at the benefits, I look at the negatives. And this has been a straight negative for like 3 years now. Microsoft coming out and telling you one thing, and then all of a sudden it being flipped around to something completely different. VR being something that we're looking into. Oh no, well, VR is completely off the table. It's and then like I 100% agree.
We acquired these studios to bring exclusive content to Xbox gamers. And now those studios are making games for everybody.
We want to broaden our demographic and our diversity in games and bring more games to the ecosystem. Here comes Hi-Fi Rush. We finally got a Japanese studio. Oh, we're closing that studio down. Like just a whole bunch of stuff that makes no sense. We want to get 4 games out a quarter, but we're shuttering studios that can help us get 4 games out a quarter. And then, I think the straw that broke is, because I was still rocking and playing mostly on my Xbox all the way until that business update. When that business update came out and they said that these 4 games are going, I could care less about the 4 games. Those 4 games, I could care less if they were going somewhere else. It didn't bother me one bit. But it was the unlimited gall that they had the nerve to make it seem like I was stupid. I'm sitting there like, wait a minute, you think I'm stupid? You think that, yeah, come on now. All these games are going at some point, but you're making it seem like we're just talking about these 4 games. So that was kind of it for me. But this whole thing, Phil Spencer, he gets a lot of credit. I will continue to give him credit. He kept Xbox afloat all these years, but just the overall, mismanagement. And even if you don't want to say mismanagement, just not paying attention to the things that's happening around you, not having the people around you that are going to help make you successful. And like Hemp said, I think Sarah is going to take the brunt because like a lot of this was Sarah's idea. I think, she's going to take the brunt of it at the end of it. I don't know how it's going to really affect, what's going to happen with her at Microsoft, because guess what? Nobody really gets affected at Microsoft. They just kind of move on to something else and you just don't know where they are anymore. So
Forte, can I just interject? I think where that's going to what's going to wind up happening is I think Sarah, I almost hate talking bad about her because
that's the thing. I don't want to talk bad about Sarah because I like Sarah.
Yeah, I was a Sarah Bond stan. I think she's I think she has done these things because she's trying to comply with the mandate that's being passed down. I think she's trying to be overt that she's trying to comply. I think eventually she appears to be the anointed one, and I think she is going to wind up like acceding to the throne. But I think along the way, I think she's burning bridges of credibility with this whole, every screen is an Xbox thing. And I think what's going to wind up happening, she's going to be one of those CEOs who is a clear ladder climber, right? Says whatever needs to be said, right, to be seen in a certain light. And I think she's going to get in that position, and I think she's going to have. I think that there's going to be an exodus from Xbox of your senior developers, right, who are gonna see that lack of credibility and don't want to be there working in that type of regime. Maybe even worse so than I mean, I think people have stuck with Phil during this time, but I think as Sarah ascends to the throne, my prediction is there's going to be a brain drain, senior developer leadership, people who are like, this is mess, from her pushing that marketing thing, from her not really speaking as. I mean, we can say what we say about Phil, but at least Phil has had his hands on a keyboard, right? He's been in the trenches.
Yeah.
Right. She doesn't have that clout, right? And I think she's just going to get there and she's going to be abandoned, right, by a lot of the people that she would become dependent upon.
Yeah.
Logic, do you think that I can kind of see what you're saying about there being like more senior Microsoft people who may feel a certain kind of way about, what the way Sarah's going about things, shaking up the industry, being a disruptor in a way. But don't you think maybe there are also people who are like maybe a little bit younger there who are seeing what Sarah's doing and say, well, we can't compete in this arena the way Sony does and Nintendo does. We gotta chart our own path, and we can't do that with the Matt Booties and the Phil Spencers of the world still being here pushing things that don't work for Xbox gaming. Do you think there is like a polarizing kind of like thought process going on internally there, where there could be people who absolutely agree with Phil, and if Sarah keeps getting her way, they're out. They're going to go somewhere else where they kind of feel like the moves being made are being made by people who have already made their bones in this industry and they know what they're doing, versus the people who feel, go ahead.
I think there's a mix. And I'm sorry, when I say I think there's going to be an exodus and a brain drain, I don't think that's going to be permanent. I think what it's going to do is it's just going to temporarily destabilize the organization, and then you're going to have a lot of people, right, like shifting around in their seat, right, and she's going to go through a reconstruction phase. Like, she is really going to go through a rebuilding year, right? But I think while she's going through, and I'd say rebuilding year in terms of like a football term, I don't know that it's going to be one season, right? But I think there's going to be slippage while that happens, and then she's going to pick people to anoint and promote and put in positions, and some of those picks that she makes will be the wrong people, right? So it's going to take her a while to kind of restabilize and get her foot underneath her. Let's and it doesn't go without saying. Let's also admit that she's a black woman, right? And she's going to be fighting that fight as well.
Yeah. I just keep coming back to the fact that she can do everything she wants to do, but the service in the games have to be there. And right now, a lot of people would tell you that everybody knows Game Pass, which is the service they bet on the most. Game Pass is the best deal in gaming, but is it? But you would never think you would hear somebody say, "Oh, it's something. It's like the best deal in gaming, but is it worth it?" Like, it's like two conflicting things. It's like I'll ask you, SloMo, is Game Pass, is it worth it to you to have Game Pass right now?
Yeah. And I'm going to say because I got Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Vault Edition for $30.
Okay, well, before this year. Before Call of Duty. Because you basically saved $70 this year alone.
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing games through Game Pass that I didn't have to buy. And then I haven't. There was a time period where I was going to unsubscribe because I wasn't using it for a while. Mm-hmm. But then I looked and saw that like both my son and my daughter were using it.
Right. Yeah, that's the same.
And so it was like, I'm not going to unsubscribe, when they're still using it and playing games through it. So I just kind of let it be.
Yeah, mine goes until October of 2026. So, I mean, I have nothing to worry about. But it's like, for me, that's the biggest problem. Games. It's like, it's like they got all these studios, and 2020 they announced all this stuff, and we're still waiting for 70% of it. We're still waiting for 30% to 40% to even be shown like what it looks like. So to me, it's like she's already gonna be fighting an uphill battle because they did a piss poor job in the expectation of what it was going to take to get this stuff out the door. And COVID, that's definitely a thing. And at some point, they're going to get past the issues that kind of brought and caused to them. You're starting to see Sony go through that because they had a lot of stuff already completely and utterly almost made by the time that hit. So they had games already in the call for the release during this time, but they're going through that struggle right now. Like, as you can see, we went a whole calendar year before this year, before they started releasing any first party real games and stuff. So everybody's like struggling from that. My biggest thing is how many people are going to wait to see the fruition of what the new Xbox is going to be. And then on top of that, most people that play on console, once you start telling people they don't need something, it's like, why would they even rock in your ecosystem? It's like, I could play all these games on PlayStation, and maybe that's great. That's what they want you to do. No red lines mean the games have to be played somewhere, but you eroded confidence in your platform. Like, I didn't want to ever believe in the fact that them telling people all these different things would get to the point where it would just be people not wanting to just even buy Xboxes and stuff. And a lot of people are going to say, well, this is like kind of hyperbole, but I'm going to say hardcore gamers are the ones that move the needle for all the casuals. Like, right now, the message is, why buy an Xbox? Just buy a PlayStation, because all the Xbox games are going to be over there. So, if we're not pushing that narrative like we normally do generation to generation and telling people why they should buy a particular thing or why they should try a particular thing, what makes you think that it's going to be any better when she finally, when that regime change does take place? Because like you said, she has to deal with all the stuff that you just talked about, building her own team, failing and rinse, fail, and repeat all over again, because it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. And like you said, in football terms, it's going to probably take more than one season to do it. But is she going to have the time to do it is the question.
Yeah.
So it's all disappointing. I mean, this just is everything that we thought it was going to be. And, I'm just tired of it. And I play my games on PC now. And the only game I play on my Xbox is NCAA, because guess what? EA didn't put it on PC. So that's kind of where I'm at this point. But I mean, it's like, I always said I would never buy another Xbox, but in my heart, I didn't really truly believe that. I was like, I think something's going to happen where they're going to make Xbox a focal of a system again, and maybe the handheld would be that. And the handheld is completely different, because I think that's something that is, adjacent to the console experience that you play at home or the PC experience you play at home. So I really don't count that as like not like buying a Xbox console. You're buying an ecosystem that's completely outside of what you normally would play at home. So if that's the case and that's the way they're going to rock with it, then fine. But I just see a lot of pitfalls happening along the way. A lot of angry Xbox gamers, not understanding that, the messaging that they've been saying for like the last 2 to 3 years, especially since the beginning of this year in January, is pretty much come to fruition. And, you kind of just got to live with it at this point. But that's it.
It's just be true to your brand. Like pick a square and stand on it.
Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah.
To kind of finish this up, I wanted to just say this real quick, and then I guess we can get up out of here. Earlier, tonight in the topics, when we were talking about the South of Midnight documentary, someone asked, I think it was Blade X in the chat, but someone asked, is this coming to PlayStation 5 too?
No red lines.
No, and my answer was probably. It probably is. But the fact that we shouldn't have to make those kind of questions and answers. Every single game they come out with has got that question lingering over its head now because they lack the conviction to just stand on their own square and just say what it was.
Yeah.
And because they didn't do that, now instead of just saying, hey, look, South of Midnight looks excellent. That game, yeah, I'm looking out for that game. But I don't quite know. Hey, I'm a primary PlayStation gamer. Maybe I don't buy an Xbox to play this day one if I know it's coming to PlayStation a few months later.
You got people out here saying that the definitive experience for a given title is going to be when it goes to PlayStation.
Go to PlayStation 5. But you also know what this kind of
it's going to be past beta.
But
it'll be past beta on Xbox. That's what you did. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but you know what this kind of tells me? It kind of tells me that they not only lack that conviction to just stand on the square, but it also kind of tells me they lack the conviction of their own service at this point. Because even if you come out and say that, yes, all of these, stand on the square and say, yeah, we're basically going third party. We're still going to have a console though, and we're still going to have an ecosystem for you to play your games inside our own ecosystem, but we're going third party and all our games are going to be other places. But if you want to be able to partake in getting your games for cheaper, that's what we have a service called Game Pass for. That tells me that they're not even, that tells me I don't even know what Game Pass's future really is. Because if they were really built on saying that, the benefits of being an Xbox gamer and playing in an Xbox ecosystem is the fact that you'll be able to play these games at a lower price and always have access to those games no matter wherever you are to play them. That is a hell of a selling point if you are a third-party publisher. To say that I could play my games not here, there, everywhere, you can still buy them on particular platforms too. That's a powerful message to people if they say it right. But it seems like they even lack the conviction of even what that's going to be in the future because they're not doubling down on that, knowing that that is actually the future that they're basically painting for everybody, but they're just not saying it. So it's a lot of different things that I just don't kind of understand the overall thought process of the moves that they're making, because it seems like a lot. It's like Xbox has been very reactionary over the course of the last 3-4 years, and it seems like they've been trying to fight this uphill fight. I would have thought once they got ABK, Bethesda, once they got all these studios. I mean, we're talking about 30 plus studios that make games for you. Like who do you have to hide from at this point? Nobody. You have a lot of power right now, but you're afraid to use it because you alienated people back in 2015 by telling them like, oh, we're putting games on PC, like you said, Quantum Break. Well, that's not going to be the norm. Shannon Loftus comes out and say, we don't see a lot of what's the name between PC and Xbox gamers. Yeah, crossover. We don't see a lot of crossover between PC and gamers on Xbox. It's not really that big of a crossover. Come to find out, 2-3 years later, everything's going on PC. Gears, that's the thing. I always thought this. Once Gears of War 5 with the PC day and date, I was like, oh, okay, you just put one of your biggest IPs day and date on PC. That should have been that was the wake-up call for a lot of people, but that kind of should have been the wake-up call for a lot of people, because once Microsoft started seeing that revenue push that they could get from PC, and then they started putting their games on Steam. And I told you, SloMo, last year, when that deal closed for ABK, I said, Microsoft is going to truly get to see what money looks like when it comes from just one game. And guess what? As soon as Call of Duty came out last year, that's when that whole messaging thing changed with them, because they got a chance to see what a quarter of just making money look like from one game or one publisher underneath their banner that literally that was the first time they actually gave Microsoft Gaming its own division, and they talked about it separately in their earnings call. So that was the beginning of the end right there. People thought Call of Duty was going to be the savior and the salvation. It ended up being the thing that basically broke Xbox.
Yep, completely changed the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get out of here, man. Great show as usual. Logic, thank you for joining us once again, sir. Let the fine people know where they can find you out here on your socials and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can catch content when I periodically post it over on the Rounding Off Infinity Gaming channel on YouTube. You can catch me on the Enough to Keep Going weekly video games podcast Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. Those are probably the best places to catch up with me. You can catch up with me on Blue Sky at Lee Hampton if you want to try that out.
Oh, he actually gave more. He gave more
Forte.
Points of interest.
Forte, where can people find you over the next week, sir?
Well, listen, they can find me at multiple radio stations, just like, the man Hemp just labeled, because when he was giving his breakdown, I felt like he was telling me he worked for WJIB, South Carolina, Michigan. That's what it sounded like for a second. But no, Gaming Forte, YouTube, Twitter, PlayStation, Xbox, all those good things. And great show, SloMo. I've been fighting with I actually made 3 thumbnails this week for video, so I made them. They're all about the Phil Spencer stuff. That's kind of how I kind of get myself into the mood. Because if I make a thumbnail, I'm like, well, I might as well make a video now. Because the thumbnail, for some reason, takes me longer to make. So I'm probably going to make a couple videos just talking about this more in depth on just my thoughts of it on my channel. Because I want to get back into the whole swing of it, but outside of that, man, SloMo is a great job today, and you got us out before Tyson knocks out Jake Paul, and I appreciate you.
No problem, man. For myself, you can find me on Blue Sky, just like Game Logic. I like it over there.
What is Blue Sky?
Blue Sky is the Twitter replacement.
Really?
It works like Twitter. It doesn't have all the features yet, but it's a lot of people are going there. It's now up to, when I saw it earlier today, 17 million people on it, and it's the number 1 social media app on mobile platforms right now. So
I'm making one right now.
Yep. That I linked the stream. I put a link out for the stream over there as well. I tend to like to have conversations over there because there isn't a bunch of porn bots replying to anything that I say. There isn't a bunch of racists calling me every racial slur they can think of. And it's just people chill, just trying to, enjoy life and enjoy games. And it's all right over there. So yeah, I definitely
not a lot of cap going on over there just yet.
Not yet. The weirdos haven't shown up yet. Yeah, it's pretty cool over there. Check me out over there. Say what's up. I did a live stream for Dragon Age of Veilguard on the SloMoBackSlap channel. I'm still working on some content over there, so check that out in the future. And yeah, look, we're gonna get up out of here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy Mike Tyson either knocking Jake Paul out or taking the fall, because that's the only way that Jake Paul is going to win is if Tyson took the bag. But hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy your games. Peace.
He said the only way he gonna win is if Mike Tyson takes the bag.